We're live. We're live. Hello, all you old farts out there on YouTube. This is the Geeky Weekly with the old farts again, and we're joined by JM DeMatteis. I can't say it right, probably. I'll probably pronounce it wrong.
You don't know. You got it. You got it exactly right. Exactly right. Perfect.
Oh, good.
Hi, guys.
Good. Hi. So we're going to talk about your. You've got the new round of the Metaverse coming up.
The multiverse. Yeah, that'll be
right?
coming out in the spring. Yeah. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
We can talk about anything you'd like.
So which of the titles made it through to round 2?
Right, hold on. I hear clacking.
Darren, what are you doing to your keyboard? There we go.
All right, let's try that again.
Sorry, I was going to ask you which of the titles from round 1 have made it through to round 2.
All of them.
All of them. I thought you were going
So what happened was, people had a choice. They could pick one or they could pick all of them, and it ended up being everybody wanted the most votes went to everything. So we have second issues of all those 4 main titles.
Oh, okay, that's great. Good.
Which is great. Yeah, we're hoping the next round of the Kickstarter. I'm getting artwork and coloring and lettering. It's all happening right now. So we're hoping the next Kickstarter. Don't quote me, but probably May.
May. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So maybe I'll come back in May so we can really bang the drum loudly.
Yeah. So
I'd be happy with that.
Participate in round 2, so I get issue 2s of everything.
Yeah, of everything. Yeah.
Are you going to have
been
the
a
same
great
contributors
project.
with you?
What?
Are you going to have the same contributors with you?
Just about the same group, and new people doing alternate covers, and a couple of new names sprinkled in, but basically the same guys, except we want a different group to do the alternate covers, so we have something new and sparkly to put in front of people's eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important these days. Are you doing any fancy covers? Are you doing foil covers and metal covers?
No, just great art. That's enough for me.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think we need anything. We don't need. I remember the days of hologram covers every 5 minutes and all that. We don't need that.
Yeah, no, I do worry we are returning to the 90s sometimes with some of
Yeah. So it seems. But you know what? They wouldn't do it if people didn't buy it. That's always, people complain about certain things like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Because you're buying it. If you stop buying it, they're not going to do it. It's really simple.
I did read about it was a Kickstarter, and they did a 3D printed covers, and the buy-in was $3,000.
Wow!
They had 20 of it. They sold out within an hour.
Wow, that's crazy.
First ever 3D printed comic covers.
And what does that even look like?
It's a pop-up book. They're charging
what it is?
a couple
It's like
grand for a pop-up book.
Well, it'll be a 3-dimensional scene on a cover of the comic, won't it?
Right.
Whether they had them hand painted or not, I don't know.
Bill is here.
Hey guys.
Now we have Bill, who probably still doesn't have a copy of his Neil Adams book with him to show off.
I sure do not.
Wrote a book with Neil Adams. You can't show it off because you never have a copy.
And I have a Facebook friend that's been a friend of mine for a long time. This is Dan Schissel. He's a Grammy Award-winning producer and a friend of mine, and he's down here. There's Jon J. You probably know him by reputation.
Absolutely.
If not his great work, or both.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a great day, guy. Why don't you have a seat right over here? And so we are. We've had a lot happen in the last week. I'm gonna wait until after we have JM on, but I do want to apologize today to Bob Beerbaum, and I just want to make sure everyone knows that I'm going to do that. But JM, so last time you were here, we were in the middle of the strike, and now you can tell us some of the things you're doing, can't you?
No.
You still can't? Oh no, man!
I have this one massive project that until it's officially announced,
you can't.
Right. I can't say a word about it. And I also have an animated project I'm doing right now that's really exciting. That it has not been announced, so I can't say a word about it. So, unfortunately, I still have to shut up.
That's okay. That's okay. But at least the strike's over, so you can work again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've got Shadow of the Green Goblin coming out next month at Marvel.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That'll be out, I guess, early April. I've also got a project going at DC, but I can't talk about that one either. So, and then as we were just talking about, we have all round 2 of the DeMatteis, and I'm working on a new novella that I can't talk about yet. So most of the things I'm working on, I can't talk about.
Get out of here! No. So tell us about the Shadow of the Green Goblin. What's that? Can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, I can tell you. I don't want to, give too much away since it's not out yet. Basically, though, it takes place in the very early days of Spider-Man's career, like maybe a month after Uncle Ben's murder. So Peter Parker, we have a 15-year-old Peter Parker, although he is Spider-Man. One of the things I wanted to explore is if I was a 15-year-old kid and got superpowers, I still wouldn't know what the hell I was doing. It doesn't matter if I could climb a wall. It doesn't mean I know how to fight. It doesn't mean I know how to control my strength. So I'm really exploring that aspect of the character. We're exploring Peter's relationship with Aunt May and how they both are handling or repressing their grief over Uncle Ben's death, and how they're dealing or not dealing in this case with that. And then there's a whole other big plot having to do with the Osborn family and a character that we saw once many years ago called the Proto-Goblin, which is when Norman was experimenting with his early formulas and turned one of his assistants into this creature. So that's a very, very important part of the story. The Norman-Harry dysfunctional relationship is an important part of the story. Looking back to Norman's marriage to Harry's mother is an important part of the story. And also Gwen Stacy and her dad dealing with Gwen's mother, who's dying in the course of the story as well. So there's a lot of things going on here. And it's great because that's a little slice of Spider-Man's life that I've touched on in a couple of shorter stories, but I never had a chance to really explore in depth that period when he was so new and so young.
Is this a one-shot or is it a little mini-series?
It's a mini-series, yeah.
So because so many of the guys on our show are British, I do want to mention the Osborn's cousin, Ozzy. And I'm just joking. Sorry, I had to go there. I had to make an Ozzy Osbourne joke. I apologize, but no, that's awesome. That's something to look forward to. Sadly, here at the store, we don't handle anything post 2000 for the most part. But that's something I wish we would handle here because we have a huge Spider-Man following here in San Antonio. We're a big Spider-Man town, and I mean, most every town probably is at this point. I will tell you this: your Young Justice stuff just blows me away. And
what Young Justice stuff might that be?
Wait. What series? Am I getting the series wrong?
Yeah, I think you are.
Okay, not Young Justice. What's the other animated series you did?
I did many animated series. You think about Justice League Unlimited?
Justice League Unlimited. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Because that got to touch on characters that are seldom seen in animated or on-screen form. How did you get to work with any characters that you always wanted to work on?
Working on that show, I did 7 episodes of that show, and then after that, I did like 8 episodes of Brave and the Bold, and I've done a ton of animation, including DC animated movies since then. But there was everything but the kitchen sink in that show. The first episode I did was an adaptation of Alan Moore's For the Man Who Has Everything. That was the first one that I did.
That's the best episode of the entire run, I think.
And that was very narrowly focused on a small group of characters. The second one I did though, the name of which escapes me. I think it might have been The Return, but it had like just about every character in the Justice League in it. There were like so many characters. So right. Just writing that show, I feel like I've written every DC character that ever existed. But it was fun. There was a couple of other ones that were really, really fun. I did the one that took place. It had Mr. Miracle. It had in it with Ed Asner as Granny Goodness. It was fantastic.
Isn't that great? Oh my God.
I think some of the greatest casting in the history of animation was Ed Asner as Granny Goodness. I love the Kirby stuff. So to have Calabac and Granny Goodness and Vermin Wunderbar and all that stuff, against this Justice League backdrop was great. And the other one that I was especially fond of was called The Clash, and that was the big Superman Captain Marvel fight.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That was a lot of fun too. That was a whole lot of fun.
Let me ask you this: did you have anything to do with the Commandy episode of Brave and the Bold?
No, that was not one of mine. My favorites out of those, they gave me a lot of the episodes that, Brave and the Bold was a very playful series, but they would sometimes do very serious stuff. So I did one with the Doom Patrol, which ended with the Doom Patrol dying at the end. So all these 6-year-olds that we traumatized out there. And then there was another one with Red Tornado where he created an android son, and at the end basically performs a mercy killing on his own son. So I did a couple of very dark episodes of Brave and the Bold, along with some other fun and silly ones as well.
But the Doom Patrol episode was absolutely spot on.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a favorite one.
I love when you start. Elastic Girl is seemingly fat and retired as a star, and then she immediately goes back into her old way. I mean, I love that episode so much, and it was such a great, for all of us Doom Patrol people out there that have loved them for years. And this was years before they did the live action series, which I thought was great. But you really toyed with a lot of things, and you brought it, kind of updated it, but at the heart, at the core, you kept it what it was, and the ending was the ending they had in the original series. It was such a great. It was great for all of us fanboys. I'll tell you that much. I'm
still amazed that we did that ending and we got away with it.
Right?
That we basically killed off the entire Doom Patrol. I have to say, all these working in TV is very, very collaborative. So there was a great team of people on Justice League Unlimited. Great team of people on Batman Brave and the Bold. That vision for that show came right from James Tucker, who was the producer. I worked with Michael Jelenic, another producer on there. And of course, Justice League Unlimited had, Dwayne McDuffie and Stan Berkowitz and Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett and all these great guys who were producers. Yeah. And what's great is, all the animation projects I've worked on, all the guys that I've worked with, they're not just executives, they're all writers. Like Jim Krieg, who over at DC Animation right now, they're all they're guys that really know story. They're writers, and not just some executive giving you notes. So to get on the phone with these guys for 90 minutes and talk story is just a pleasure. Just a pleasure.
I don't think we got any of those there in the UK. I might have to search.
Really? You never got Justice League Unlimited or Brave and the Bold?
I don't remember. It might have been. Maybe I was in my 20s and worrying about women and children.
No. This stuff is within the last 20 years. So you weren't 20, I can assure you. You might have been having kids at the time. That might have been it. But no, I tell you, Brave and the Bold was such a great nod to all the Smiling Bat years. I mean, really, it's just amazing stuff.
I'm sure they're on YouTube. If I go and look on YouTube, I should find them.
No, you can find them on. Do you have Max or something associated with Max?
Yeah, they're all on Max over here. Almost all the DC animated stuff.
They're all on Max.
All the animated movies that I wrote are all on Max right now. And in terms of Justice League Unlimited, just 2 years ago, James Tucker and I did for DC. We did basically the next season of Justice League Unlimited in comic book form, called Justice League Infinity, which was a lot of fun. We had a great time with that one.
Oh, that sounds great. I need to check those out. So, phase 2 of the DeMatteis verse.
DeMultiverse. I know it's hard to say. The DeMultiverse.
Yeah, that's much better.
Well, so people that don't know about phase 1, I should probably explain it, right?
Yeah.
So, I pondered doing a Kickstarter for some time because, in creator-owned comics, it's a difficult road, creator-owned comics, and they don't often pay off in the end. Everyone sees something like Walking Dead and they think, oh, you do a creator-owned comic and everyone's going to become a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. So what appealed to me about Kickstarter was, it's one more wall between the creator and the audience that's taken away. You're going directly to your audience. the thing that I hesitated about was, but it just seems like a lot of work, you know, and it is. But I got together with a friend of mine, a guy named David Baldy. David worked in the TV business for 20 years as a writer and a producer, and he's a big comic book guy as well. And David said, well, I'll work with you on this. And David created this little imprint called Spellbound Comics to wrap around these books. But originally, the original plan was just to do one miniseries and kickstart it, and that would be that. So I pitched David 4 different ideas, and he was the one that came back to me and said, well, why don't we do all 4? Let's do first issues of all 4 comics.
Yeah.
So we did 4 different comics in 4 different genres. One is a supernatural Western. One is an all ages fantasy about the afterlife. One is sort of a Kirby Gods meets the Matrix kind of story, and one hews closer to what we identify as a more typical superhero story, but with some very strange twists in it. So we're 4 different genres, 4 different artists, and we even threw in a 5th bonus book with the first round just for fun. And as we mentioned before, the idea was the fans would then vote on which book they wanted to see continue, and the plan would be then for the second round to kickstart the rest of that miniseries. But what got the most votes was continue all of them. So what's coming up in May will be the second issues of all these books. And they're all basically written and the art's being done as we speak. And I just, every day, that's the fun part about, for me, the best part of what I do. I mean, the writing is great, but when the art comes back, when I open up an email, like I just opened up an email for the first colored page for the all ages comic, which is called Layla and the Lands of After, which is beautiful art by Sean McManus, and Arthur Hesley just turned in his first page of the coloring. And I'm like, it's like I'm 10 years old again, looking at laying on the floor, looking at a comic book. It's awesome. It's still as exciting as it was when I was a kid. That's the best part of the job.
That's interesting you say that, because I've interviewed 2 or 3 people who they are just people who want to have their own comic, and they've gone on to Kickstarter and they've produced their own comics. They're generally writers, and they've generally funded the whole thing, and they're generally paying the artists to do the artwork to their stories. And when I ask them what's the best thing about doing that, they say exactly what you just said. Because
it's like this thing is in your head and you see it a certain way in your head, and when you're working with the right artist and you get this stuff back, it's like someone jacked into your head and just put it on a page. And usually what you're getting back is either, when you're working with the kind of artists I'm working with, it's either exactly what I'm seeing in my head or something better. So it's and that's the thing more than anything that makes me feel like a kid again. It just brings back that sort of innocent love of comic books.
And when you're working with a particular artist on a particular title, you've seen their artwork and you can see how they're interpreting what you're saying. When you're writing, say, issue 2, do you adapt your writing slightly to fit what the artist is doing?
It's interesting. Someone asked me that recently, and I had to really think about it. And it's a contradictory answer. So the first answer is no, because I've got a story in my mind that I'm going to tell the way I want to tell it. Mm-hmm. But once I've worked with that artist and I know what their work looks like, as I'm writing, that's what I'm picturing in my head. So I know if I'm writing for Sean McManus, I'm seeing McManus images in my head. If I'm writing for Tom Mandrake, I'm seeing Mandrake images in my head, and so on and so on, And the more you work with an artist in an ongoing way, it becomes a kind of a mind meld,
Yes.
If you're seeing there, as you're writing, you're envisioning your story, but then as you're writing it, you're seeing it told in their style, and you feed that back to them, and then they build on that, and it goes back in your head and comes out again in the next issue. So it's an interesting thing. So I'm not consciously tailoring the story to their strengths or weaknesses, but they are my visual guide. How's that?
Yeah. No, I can fully understand that. And for me, always the best comics are the one where the writing and the art clearly are synchronized.
Yes, and you can't make that happen. You can't. No. It either happens or it doesn't. And I've said this before. I could be working with the best artist on earth, but something might not click between us, and I could have a great script, we could have great art, and the comic might fall flat. And then other artists I've worked with, it's just like bang, some chemical reaction happens, just as it happens between people, and something magic happens on the page. I was just talking about I did some years back. I did a biographical graphic novel called Brooklyn Dreams, and I worked with an artist called Glenn Barr. And I had an image of what I wanted that artwork to look like in my head for some time. And I'm in an editor's office, and he opens a drawer and pulls out these samples from Glenn, and I went, "That's what I'm seeing in my head," you know. And those are the kind of collaborations you hope for. It's like it was like there was a wire that went from my head to his head, and then came out through his pen. And you can't make that happen any more than like you could make someone fall in love with somebody. You can't make that happen. It just either happens or it doesn't.
Yeah. I was I don't know if you know the writer Simon Spurrier. I was speaking to him 18 months ago because he did a series where there was no text. It was purely an artwork. There was no text. It was the pictures told the story, and he was the writer. And I said to him, "There's no text." He said, "That but doesn't matter." He said, "I describe to the artist what I want and what I want each panel to tell the story." And I thought that was a very interesting concept, and I really enjoyed the series. I thought it was fantastic.
Right, because he had to sit down and figure out what that story was and how to tell it visually. But here's the thing, though. You know, there are two ways that comics are done generally. One is plot first, where I may write, and with the DeMatteis, 2 of the books are done plot first, 2 of them are done full script. So plot first, I write a very detailed plot. If you see my plots, it's page 1, panel 1, camera angles, the whole thing. But it's still the plot first, and then that goes to the artist who draws the book, and I don't dialogue it and put in the captions until I get the art back. And that's a very magical thing, because sometimes you're reacting to the art, so that a sequence that I thought might need a lot of words, I look at the art and I think, oh, I don't have to say anything on this page. Conversely, there's another sequence that I thought was really clear and I have to add things. So you're really interacting with the visuals there. Full script, which I'm sure Cy Spurrier did for this particular project, everything is here. Page 1, panel 1, description, caption, dialogue, really tight, but give that to 5 different artists and it will still look 5 completely different ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Because every artist tells a story. No matter how you're describing what's going on in that panel, 5 guys are going to draw that in different ways. And their panel to panel storytelling will be different. So you got to have, anyone that thinks, well, comics are really about the art or comics are really about the writing, they're completely wrong. You have to have that fusion or it doesn't work. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Couldn't agree more.
That's kind of like, for me, when people want to discount Stan Lee and act like, oh, he didn't do this or this. They did the whole. No, you have to realize his dialogue, to me anyway, made a lot of those comments. I mean, the artwork was phenomenal. No argument there. But the way his dialogue seemed so much like real life to me as a kid, it made everything gel and made it work. And I can't imagine anyone else writing those. And we can argue about what he did here, what he did there, but I think Stan was the glue that was needed. I don't know what you think about Stan and his.
Well, here's how I feel about the great debate.
Yeah.
When I see people giving Stan all the credit, I'm a Kirby guy. When I see people giving Kirby all the credit, I'm a Stan guy. Do you know what I mean? Because it was both. Now, to be clear though, when we talk about like plot first was Stan Lee was like, hey Jack, let's bring back Dr. Doom, and then Jack goes off and creates 4 issues of story, and then Stan dialogues that. So Jack was the co-writer on those books, and I think had the credits reflected that, a lot of this stuff would have just evaporated, and Kirby would have been a lot happier.
Right.
But Stan was the dialogue guy. Stan was the editor. He was the guy that wrote the cover copy. He answered people on the letters page. His contribution was huge. And just what you said, if you go back and look at, say, some early Spider-Man stories, there was never dialogue like that in a comic book before. That snappy patter, that humor, that we call it realistic. Well, for the time, it was realistic compared to everything else that was going on in comics.
Right.
So I can't take that away from Stan, nor can I take the genius away from Jack Kirby, who created so much of that. So much of that came out of his head. I always look at it like, this is the metaphor I came up with, so bear with me. Stan and Jack are walking down the street together, and they're passing an empty lot. Stan keeps walking, but Jack stops. He's staring at this empty lot. Stan says, Jack, what are you doing? He said, wait a second. And if it was a comic book, Jack would run off panel, and he'd come running back in with like wood and hammer and nails and all this stuff. He runs into this empty lot, and he builds a house unlike anything you've ever seen. And then he moves on. And Stan looks at this house, and he goes, oh, okay. So Stan goes in, he plants the lawn, he paints the house, he puts in the furniture, he hangs up some pictures, and then he goes up on the roof and rings a bell and says, come see the most beautiful house you've ever seen in your life. And then all the people come, and he gives them a tour of the house. So to me, that's the Stan and Jack dynamic. You know, without Jack, I think there's a lot of empty lots where nothing would have been built. And without Stan, a lot of people would have never seen those houses. You know? And he put great paint on the walls and you know, planted beautiful flowers.
That's such a beautiful analogy of oh my gosh, so I knew Stan and Jack both. Never met Steve, but knew Jack. Jack was so sweet to me, such a nice guy, and so was Stan. I mean, they really appreciated the people that appreciated their work, and I think that's so evident of all of comicdom, I think. But in that respect, I still can't get over how amazing their combined talents and what it became. Yeah,
I agree.
So, James, when we talked about the writer and the artist and the synchronization, what do you think the role of the editor is? Are they providing a third dimension? Or, you know, do you work better with an editor or without an editor?
You know, it really depends. You know, I've had some creator-owned stuff where I've basically been my own editor, and I think it's some of the best stuff I've ever done. Yeah. At the same time, I've worked with great editors in this business, and a really, really good editor is the glue. Because first of all, just on the basic level, they're the ones making sure the train's going to run on time. They're the ones dealing with the writer, the artist, the letterer, the colorist, you know, everything. Not to mention the people above their head who are yelling about this, that, or the other thing. And the best editors that I've worked with are the ones that really, really respect the vision of the creative people, give them the room to create, but are also smart enough to know when to step in and say, you know what, your train's going off the track here. We got to fix something. You know, the editors that are sitting leaning over your shoulder over every sentence, it's not good. Because even, you know, if they give you 100 comments, and even if 10 of them are brilliant, after the 90 that have driven you crazy, you don't even want to listen to the 10 that are good, you know? But when an editor gives you the room to play and follow your vision, and then they pick up the phone and they say, this is not working, I listen, and immediately I will go and rewrite that thing, you know? So a really, really good editor is really important. And then with a really good editor, you build up a sense of trust with them. So you know, they're not playing games with you, you're not playing games with them, and they're as invested in the work as you are. And that's really, really, because you know, it's impossible to be objective about our own work. And you know, we need someone to step in and be able to tell us when we're good and when we're bad. Because 90% of the time, you know, I finish a job, I don't know whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I can't be objective. I know I had fun writing it, you know. Sometimes I turn in something and I say to my wife, well, you know, if they call me up and say it's the worst piece of shit ever made, I won't be surprised. And if they call me up and say it's a work of genius, I'll buy that too, because I have no idea. You know, every once in a while you really click. And I know what I just produced, if the whole world tells me it's awful, they're wrong. But that happens really, really small amount. The rest of the time, you're just doing your best and sailing your little boats out into the world, you know? And you need an editor that you trust. And it's the trust factor that's most important. Because if you don't trust that person, then you're not going to trust their opinion. You have to trust your artist too, you know? So the more, you know, when you have an artist that you work with continually, you get to know each other. Sometimes you only get to know each other through the work. You may never talk to each other, but you get to, that symbiosis happens. And if you're really lucky, you get to know each other personally and develop a personal relationship, which only adds to the work.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I mean, I come from industry, so what you've actually described there as a good editor is what I would have described as a good manager. You know, you've got some, you know, they're not sitting over your shoulder micromanaging you, but they know when to step in and say, I think you might need a bit of my help here.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going to listen, you know. You know, I think the worst editors are the ones who are frustrated writers themselves. So when they're editing a book, what they really want to get is their vision in the book as opposed to the writer's vision or the artist's vision. And that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So I do want to address the elephant in the room here, because since you were here last, we've lost a great guy, close friend of yours, close creative influence, Keith Giffen. And I wondered if you wanted to say a few words.
Sure. I honestly, I still haven't quite wrapped my head around the fact that Keith isn't here anymore. You know, like I know it intellectually. I don't know it completely emotionally that he's not here. But I'll say what I always say. Keith is maybe the single most creative person I've ever encountered in this business, maybe in my life. He was just like an idea factory. He was like, I said it, he was the Jack Kirby of my generation of comic book creators.
Absolutely.
Just incredible. I always say this, but I'll repeat it because it's true. When one of my kids was little, we had this little bubble bear. It was a little plastic bear, and you filled it with that bubble liquid, you know? You'd press the bear's belly, his head would pop up, and bubbles would come out. And that's what Keith was. You gave his belly a squeeze, and 100 ideas came out. And if you didn't like those ideas, squeeze them again, because another 100 will come out right after that. And you know, our creative partnership was something that was really, really unique. I think we did things together that we really couldn't have done individually. And it was really, over the years, less about the project we were working on and more about the fact that we were working together. You know, I always just say, if Keith called me up and said, let's do Millie the Model, I'll go, sure. As long as it's with you, I'm happy to do it. And that, in fact, is what happened in our last collaboration, which was Scooby Apocalypse. He called me up and said, DC's doing this Scooby Doo book. And I was like, Scooby Doo? What are you talking about? You know? But it was with Keith. And it turned out we did it for like 3 years, and it was a great gig, and we had a blast because I was working with Keith. And
there's talk that they're going to do a movie of it.
Of Scooby Apocalypse?
Yeah. And let's hope they let you write it.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny because that you say that, because I don't know, maybe 3, 4, no, it must have been pre-COVID. So it must be 4 years ago or whatever it is, or more. I got a call from one of the guys at Warner Brothers that I work with, and he wanted to do a live action Scooby Apocalypse movie. And I said, I'm in. And then he went up the food chain, and he couldn't sell it. But so I hope they do. I think it would make a great, it could make a great live action TV series. It could make a movie. It could do an animated series. I think there's a lot of potential there. We had a blast with that book. And I can't believe that I had a blast with that book. It surprised me, but we really had a great time. You know, when I said one day, I love this Scrappy Doo character, I went, wait, what did I just say? You know, it was like,
that's said no one but you ever. But
right,
yeah,
right.
You and James Gunn, James Gunn.
That version of that character that we used in our book, I fell in love with. It was a great character to write.
I love that. I love that so much. That is so great. So have you written any live action stuff that we would know about? Or
most of what I've done is animation. The first TV thing I ever sold was back in the 80s. If you remember, they did a revival of the Twilight Zone. I wrote an episode of that. That was the first thing that I ever did.
Holy moly!
You may remember an obscure Superboy TV show that ran in the late 80s, early 90s. Right. I did 5 episodes of that one.
Wow.
I wrote for Gene Roddenberry's Earth Final Conflict, a science fiction show that they.
Which I thought that was a great series.
Yeah, I did a couple episodes of that. So that's the lot. I think that's it for the live action stuff. Most of everything else. aside from movies that I've written and been paid for that haven't been made, which were supposed to have real people in them. But that's the way Hollywood works. A lot of times you get paid to write things that never get made, but at least you get paid. So, but beyond that, almost everything else has been in the a lot of animated TV, and I think 5 animated movies now.
What are the 5 animated movies?
Let's see if I can get them.
Okay.
There was Batman versus Robin, Batman Bad Blood, Constantine City of Demons, Deathstroke Knights and Dragons, and the adaptation of Superman Red Sun.
Wow. Those are all fantastic. Really great. Those are all fantastic. I was hoping you would say one of my favorites, but the ones you've done are even better. But I was hoping you were going to say the Batman Two-Face movie with.
Oh, that was really fun. I like that a lot. But no, I did not write it.
They even had King Tut in it, which King Tut is like my favorite TV Batman villain of all time. So
yeah, I think James Tucker and Michael Jelenic wrote that one. Yeah, I also did. We did a couple of shorts for them a couple of years ago. I did a short with Neil Gaiman's Death character, which was the first time Death had been done outside the comics. Which, if you can find it, it's on Max. There's a movie called Batman: Death in the Family, but it's really a collection of shorts. Yeah, and it's got the Death short in there. It's like it plays like a 20-minute Twilight Zone episode. It's real. I'm really proud of that one.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's I kind of stumbled into animation backwards. It wasn't part of the plan, which is why I always tell people, don't be attached to what your plan is for your career. Just be open to things and say yes. Amen. So I stumbled into animation, and it turned into like a 20-year career that's still going on. As I said, I'm working on something now that I'd love to tell you about, but I can't.
But you did promise you're going to come back, so we'll get word on it.
Yeah, right. But I do think your Inferior 5 series is going to be fantastic. So really looking for. I'm kidding. Oh. Wait, are you reading my mind? No, but
that's not what it is. That's not what it is. But that's. Okay.
I know.
I see. If Keith was around, I would absolutely do the Inferior 5.
Oh, that would be great. That was. It's funny. During that period, a lot of stuff was happening on television. You had the Super 6. You had Mighty Heroes, and you had all these kind of takeoffs and parodies of superheroes, but that was one of the only series that actually was its own thing and became a comic series. Of course, it came from Showcase, but it was just it still makes me laugh. It still makes me laugh. So. But mum's the word until you can give us the lowdown on that. But we're looking forward to anything new that you produce.
Thank you.
On that vein, where are we with Creature Commandos? Doesn't that come out this year?
I think it does. I'm not completely in the loop. I will say that James Gunn, really nice guy, took the time to have a Zoom call with me, and we got to chat about it and talk about some other things. And I think it's in very good hands. I think the whole DC universe is really in good hands with James Gunn. He's a total fan. He's a very knowledgeable fan. He knows all the deep cuts. You see him on social media. He's just reading comics and talking about them that have nothing to do with the movies. He just loves this stuff. So I know Maxwell Lord is apparently going to be in the Superman movie. And I know James is a big JLI fan. So I have a feeling that maybe, and this is not based on anything official. I'm just making this up. Don't anybody say James Gunn told me or anything like that. He didn't.
I said that.
But I'm thinking, there we go. I'm thinking that they're laying seeds for the JLI down the road because there's enough of those characters. Guy Gardner is in the Superman movie. So you have Maxwell Lord, you have Guy Gardner, you have James being a fan of JLI. I'm hoping that will lead to a JLI movie down the road. But again, this is nothing official. I'm just projecting. Don't put any words in my mouth or in James Gunn's mouth.
So, J.M., I saw something the other day. So, one of our people who usually is sometimes with us is called Nevs, and he's very knowledgeable about comics, and he showed me something I'd never seen before, which you wrote in 2005, which was a Defenders miniseries from 2005 in which the Hulk appears to have sex. Is this correct?
With Umar.
This is correct, and you can blame Keith for that part of it. But that was me. That was me, Keith, and Kevin McGuire just doing our thing, but doing it all over the Marvel universe instead. You know, we had a lot of fun with that one too.
Are you allowed to get away with that?
I don't know. That's Keith would do the plots and I would get the script, so I get these things. It's like, okay, let's run with it. Let's run with it and see what happens. Yeah, that was fun. Anytime I work with those guys, including Kevin, I mean, we talk about the importance of the art. If Kevin had not been our original artist on Justice League, we might not be talking about Justice League today. He was the perfect guy at the perfect time for the kind of stories that we were telling, because nobody does character acting on the page better than Kevin.
No, nobody. I do want to say we just had an artist leave here, C-Ray, who does a lot of work for the store I run here. And we have our own comic label now. But he wanted me to tell you Brooklyn Dreams changed his life.
Oh, well, thank him for me.
I will.
That's funny because I just did a list because someone asked me last week, like, give me the four projects you love the most out of everything you've done. And I can't do four, but it got me thinking about it. So I did a list, broke it down into my creator-owned stuff and the stuff that I've done for Marvel and DC of like, I said it was the top 5, but I cheated, but because I made things tie so I could get 6 or 7 in there. But the top 2 for me in terms of the creator-owned stuff, and they always flip places, are Brooklyn Dreams and Moonshadow. Brooklyn Dreams is something. Clearly. I mean, it's totally autobiographical, so it really means there's no filter, there's no characters. I changed the names to protect the innocent, but it's basically just my life laid out there. And that was, what I was talking about before with Brooklyn Dreams, that Glenn Barr, that art, that writer artist mind meld. Taking these things, the stories of my life that I had in my head, and bringing them to life in a way that was just perfect, absolutely perfect. And I will say that later this year, Dark Horse will be putting out a new edition of Brooklyn Dreams, so I'm very excited about that.
So I don't know if I ever told you this, but I've been married for 32 years now, and a great.
No, you've never told me that.
No, that I know I didn't tell you, but I was married briefly.
He has told us that.
Yeah, I have. Repeatedly.
You get married on the 29th of February, so it's not really.
Yeah, I did get married on leap day, so it's actually 8 years. But no, I was married briefly in my early 20s, and she was a PhD by the time she was 22. She pushed herself way too hard. Wonderful person. Things didn't work. That's okay. But her favorite comic was Moonshadow. And we had a cat that we named Moonshadow as a result, and Mooney. Great. And then when I moved out, she gave the cat away. So, and it's the only cat I've ever owned in my life, and it made me so sad. I wish I had the opportunity to own him, but Mooney was he was a great cat, but I owe you the name, because that's why. It wasn't because of Cat Stevens, it was because of you. So I wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome. I love how everything we talk about magically appears on the screen.
I know. Well, our comic store, we were just talking. Dan is a great guy. Dan came down today from all the way from Austin, which is 75 miles from San Antonio, and to hang out because we've been friends for years. But we talked about this comic earlier today, and it's so funny. The store owner, Phil, I run the store, but Phil absolutely loves this and can't wait for the series. And so we were talking about, and I totally forgot that it was you, because it's easy to do that when you don't have creator credits on the front,
Well, and also easy when you're as prolific as you are.
Yeah, exactly. And you've done so
well,
much.
It's a weird thing, because that's something that I cooked up. I was in the business, it felt like, for like maybe 8 minutes at that point. I was really, really new. And I was working with Len Wein, who was my mentor and dear friend. And he was editing Weird War Tales and House of Mystery. And he was looking for, he wanted to put some series in each book. And when I broke in at DC, that's how you broke in those days. I was selling stories to House of Mystery, Weird War Tales, House of Secrets. So just like coming up with millions of ideas for monster stories and all these things. And I remember just before the infamous DC implosion, which had me out of work for almost a year, I came up with this idea to pitch to Paul Levitz, who was editing Weird War Tales. I said, well, it's Weird War. Monsters fighting World War II. What could be simpler? But I never got to pitch it to Paul. So time goes by, and then I'm working with Len, and Len's looking for a series. So I pitched him this idea, and he loved it. And I don't think I had the title. I think maybe Len and I came up with the title together, or he came up with the title. I forget. But I had the whole premise. And but again, that, and then I did I, Vampire for House of Mystery. Those are the two things I created first ever created in comics. But it's really early days, and you work on these things, and then I 6 months later I jumped over to Marvel, so I did the first 6 issues of Creature Commandos, created it, wrote it, moved on, and here we are, 40-something years later, and it's providing the seeds for this new show. Now I know James is taking it and bringing in different characters and doing different things, but it's on the bedrock of what we created 40 years ago. That's really cool.
That's so great.
That's the thing. You never know what character, especially now, because they're cranking out so much stuff. They're looking under every rock for something, So,
right.
I hope they keep finding more of my characters along the way,
Since you brought up the DC Comics explosion, did you have a piece in Canceled Comics Cavalcade?
No. I had really I was selling stories to those anthology books for about 6 months. Okay. So I was really brand new. I hadn't moved on to superhero stuff or anything. It was all those anthology comics, House of Mystery, Weird War Tales, 6 to 8 page twist ending stories. In fact, just before the implosion, I did my first full length story for Weird War, 22 pages. It was like, oh my God. And they gave me a raise, which this is 1978. My raise was from $13 to $15 a page. But I thought I got that check. I thought I'd made a fortune. I lived on that money for the entire. I lived on that for the whole summer. It paid my rent, bought my pizza. I was riding high,
Yeah, that is so great.
My friend Romeo Tangal was knee deep in that implosion, and I always forget the book. I think it was Starfire, but it was one of those books that only ran for 8 issues. And he's got the original art to 7, 8, and 9.
That I've never seen print, you mean? Wow.
Yeah. He really wanted to put one out, and he showed me a few of those, and he's like, I can't even post these online or anything like that because it's unpublished. But he was paid for the whole thing. He was paid for the entire issue. So
yeah, I still remember Paul Levitz coming out of his office and sitting me down and explaining what had happened, if there wasn't going to be any more work. I thought I was on the track. And that was it. I didn't get any. That was June of '78. I didn't get any work out of them till the next spring, I think. And right around the same time, the beginning of that summer, that same June, I was in a band, and my band broke up, and the DC implosion. It was a rough time, man. I got to tell you.
Man, I'm sorry you had.
It all worked out. It all worked out just fine. It's okay.
The man is a multi-talented musician. Look at my two kinds. I always got to show these off. I've got an original drawing he did.
That's so funny.
And his CD.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
True fan. So
my cousin
almost
put out a lot of
brought
albums.
down the autographed Weird Warrior first story with that, but yeah.
What were you going to say, Bill?
I just said my cousin's put out a hell of a lot of albums, but I have not. My cousin's Lyle Lovett. So, you might have heard of him. He's married to Julia Roberts.
I was going to say, oh yeah, Julia Roberts.
People remember about him.
It's true.
But his music's wonderful. And I would say that even if I wasn't related to him. But Dan got a Grammy Award for what was the album?
I produced Lewis Black's Carnegie Hall album.
Oh, cool! That's great.
Yeah. And then he had a gold album with Mitch Hedberg. Yeah. Mitch Hedberg. Yeah. And so he is an EC fanatic, but he loves comics in general. And so he's at the right place at the right time. He's down for South by Southwest.
I just happened to be here and this was happening, so I had to sit in.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
Bill,
did.
here's an
Yeah.
idea for you, Bill. Scoot over, let him slide up with the mic, and give him a couple minutes with JM.
Oh no, I don't want to interrupt
No,
you guys.
please.
You-
Please,
Not interrupting. Go.
You're the
Wow.
fan, buddy. Step on in and talk.
Now,
Now you put him on the spot. He's gonna have to make up some question for me, right?
Yeah, I just am a tremendous comic fan. And particularly enjoy satire and parody in comics. That's really sort of what I'm focusing on and starting to study as if it was like a religious text of some sort.
Which it is.
Yeah, to me, definitely. I mean, it starts with Mad for me, and I'm at the altar of Harvey Kurtzman for sure.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, Mad was already Mad magazine, and at one point, I don't remember how I discovered those paperbacks with those early issues of Mad, which were a completely different thing, and it was like my head exploded, and I had to go out and buy all these paperbacks with all these Super Duper Man and all those crazy stories. It was amazing stuff, really amazing stuff.
It was really my entryway into comic books. So I started with Mad magazine, in the late 70s. And then my parents made the decision to move to the middle of Nebraska from the Pocono Mountains, which was a culture shock. Well, I'll just put it at that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And to me, I was trying to cling on to the things that reminded me of where there were people. And Mad magazine was one of those things that was still on newsstands everywhere. So that was real easy. And then I graduated into discovering EC through the Bill Gaines biography. And then I wrote to Bill because it said you could in the book. So I did, and then through that, he arranged for me to tour the offices when I was in New York visiting.
Oh, how cool. Wow.
And it set me on my path. And now I run a comedy record label, and I try to live in Bill's spirit, but without his cultural impact. So like all those Mad trips, I decided to found a comedy festival in Mexico. And it was based on that kind of like sense of adventure and going to ridiculous lengths just for the story, basically.
That's great. Yeah, we talk about this stuff, and it's like these little time travel chemicals drop in your brain, and suddenly I could remember being a kid on the floor I loved Mad magazine. I mean, I just absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
And then on my journey after having all the recording that I'm still doing for comedians, it circled back to comics during the pandemic and just right into my love of Mad again. And then through that, the rest of satire and parody as it developed since then.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So I'm coming across your work fairly regularly, and it was kind of crazy when Bill told me that you guys were going to be on the podcast today. So I definitely wanted to sit in, and now I feel like I'm taking up the whole conversation.
No, not a problem. We
Not
talk
at
to
all.
him all the time. This is his third visit. Going to be a fourth. He done promised.
Yeah, and we did have a question about I, Vampire. Was I, Vampire after the implosion? I'm sure it was. Wasn't it?
Yeah, at the same time that I did Creature Commandos, I did
Right.
I, Vampire for House of Mystery.
Yeah.
And that's another one that whoever put that comment up said it seems to cycle back, and when I was writing Justice League Dark a few years ago, I got to revisit that character for the first time in like 30 years. So that was really a lot of fun. And that would be a great movie. That would be a fantastic movie if DC wants to move into the horror realm, So yeah. And I worked on that with Tom Sutton, who is a wonderful artist, perfect for that kind of moody horror.
Also in a lot of this the Marvel satire and parody too.
Tom Sutton?
Yes, very much. So. I know him from Not Brand Ick.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was great stuff too. Yeah, that was great stuff. Do you have that experience where like I can look at the cover of a comic book, say from the 60s or 70s, and something in just looking at that image, it's like you take a step through time, literally, and your brain shifts. And I can feel exactly as I felt when I was looking and reading that book at the time. I could instantly be 10 or 12 years old again, just from looking at that image of that cover.
Dare I tell the story of Defenders 92 for the 86?
No, Kyle, you're specifically banned from doing that for the 14th time.
Yeah, I have told that story of Defenders 92 more times than I care to count, and I'll keep telling it.
And
Well,
far more than we want to count too.
That is to me That's my contract with
Any
God.
episode we've had over the last 4 years, 3 years, however long it is, because you'll hear it.
Yeah.
There is.
no
I know there's a
break.
Defenders. There's a Defenders Masterworks coming out. Like beautiful hardcover with I think the first year or so of my Defenders in it. So that story will be in there, Kyle.
So
Yeah,
what
awesome.
did you think of the series, JM?
Which series?
The Defenders TV series?
Oh well, that had nothing to do with the Defenders as we knew
Nothing.
them.
No. But
It was
but
a
I-
fun.
Same
It was a
always.
fun show. It was a fun
yeah,
show.
I thought so
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
liked the interaction. None of the characters she worked with, of course, but
Yeah.
except for maybe Daredevil.
Right. Yeah, I had a short run on Daredevil.
Yeah. But I was just curious because
Yeah, out of all those shows, the one that I liked the best, I really liked Jessica Jones.
Oh, I thought
Especially that first season with David Tennant.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was fantastic.
Jessica. Oh my God,
David
Creeped me
Tennant.
out.
David Tennant is amazing.
Oh,
David
he
Tennant
is.
amazing.
He is. And I'll say all 3 seasons were really pretty good.
Yeah,
The last
I agree.
one was kind of brutal, but I honestly thought the first season was pure magic.
And it was great for me because I didn't know anything. I really like it when I see these comic book movies or shows about characters that I know nothing about.
Same here.
And
I
I've
knew
never
nothing
read the
about
books, so I
Yeah.
knew nothing about
Yeah.
it. And it's like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Hope someone's saying thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
A lot of gratitude out there. So while we're still thinking of it, since this is kind of basically a UK show, 3/4 of our panelists are out of the UK. And it's Dan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Dan, I had a piece of trivia come up in my head while we were sitting here. You said you worship at the altar of Kurtzman.
Mm-hmm.
What was Kurtzman's significance to UK comedy?
Oh, I know that. It's from Help Magazine and having Terry Gilliam as his right-hand man on Help.
And who posed in some of that comedy?
Well, I mean, a lot of people pose, but I think you're specifically looking for John Cleese.
John Cleese. There
Yeah.
you go. He helped tie in. I love talking
Yeah,
about that.
it was sort of a birth point for Monty Python.
Well, that's where they met.
yeah.
That's where they've all said it. Gilliam said he wouldn't
Yeah.
have got Python without it. Cleese said he wouldn't have pulled in Gilliam without it.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
couple that with a couple of the British TV shows, at last the 1948 show and
Yeah.
Do Not Adjust Your Set, I believe. I
Yeah.
think those are the two. Yeah,
Yeah, I figured you just popped that one right off the top.
yeah. There you go. I hope I passed the test.
Yeah.
That's having those. I used to have pretty much all the helps. I need to get them all back. But I
Well,
love those.
who was the member of Help's board or staff that went on to be famous for something completely different?
He's leaving it wide open.
Not a clue.
If I burn my bra now, right now, would you have a clue?
Annie Leibovitz,
No.
No.
Should I give it away or do we?
Go ahead.
It's Gloria Steinem.
Gloria Steinem. Okay.
Wow.
Gloria Steinem was the right hand for Kurtzman on that. That's where she got her start.
Yeah,
And-
that was while she was doing the Playboy Bunny thing.
Right. And we wouldn't have had Ms. Magazine if not for
Yeah.
Help. So
So
just throwing that out there.
here's the thing to toss it back to you, JM. How does it personally feel to be mentioned in the same breath with Harvey Kurtzman and Stan Lee? I mean, you are mentioned in the same breath with this pantheon.
Like, Stanley is great and this guy sucks, that breath.
No,
No,
we didn't mean that at all.
No, that's not what he meant.
but I mean, those are your
Yeah,
contemporaries.
that was smoke blowing from Kyle again.
No, but seriously, I mean, you
Literally
are
and
mentioned,
figuratively.
you are mentioned in the same breath with some of these people that, I mean, yes, Will Eisner was a generation before you, but you followed in his
Right,
footsteps
right,
and
too.
carried on. I mean, that to me is an amazing compliment unto itself. But how does it feel to hear that?
Yeah,
compliment?
I can't look at anything like that with any objectivity, or I can't wrap my head around, because these guys, when I was growing up, those were the guys I was looking up to. So you never can put yourself in the same room with those guys. It's like Kirby, Eisner. Like they're living in a castle someplace else, and I'm living in an apartment over here. And I don't mean false humility or anything like that. I'm very proud of the work I've done. I'm very proud of the contributions I've made along the way. But, you just can't, like I can compare Keith to Kirby. Keith would have never been able to compare himself to Kirby because, he held Kirby in the same esteem. He wasn't going to walk around and go, I'm the Jack Kirby of my generation. He wouldn't feel that way.
Look, Aaron actually mentions that specific issue of Defenders 92.
Did you pay him?
Yeah, you got to give him $10.
He just PayPal'd him.
He PayPal.
Yeah.
He paid him.
See, but we talked about this before. It's like, so to me, that was the first issue of Defenders that I did. I was like still reasonably new to the business. If I'm looking back compared to what I know now, I didn't know anything when and it's like that for whatever reason, that story had impact and lives on in some way. That's another reason why there's no way to be objective about my work. That's why I try never or very, very, very rarely to ever knock anything I've done publicly, because the story that say I may have some story that I feel like I just failed. It didn't work. It didn't connect. And then I'm at a convention and some guy comes up to me and says, this is my favorite comic that I ever read. So for me to publicly knock that, it's just going to hurt some reader who, the guy that wrote it, I love this story and he hates it. What's wrong with me? And I know for me as a fan, if I had some piece of music that I love or a comic or a book or whatever, and then the creator of that work says, that was a piece of crap, it's a weird thing. So I will never knock my own work because once I'm done with a story, it's like you've released it into the wild, It's like, and it's between the story and the audience. My part in it is done. You know what I mean? It's like, and just as we were talking about the chemistry between a writer and an artist, between a writer and the editor, there's chemistry between the story and the audience, not the writer and the audience, but the story and the audience. Why did Kraven's Last Hunt hit the way it did? I could name many stories. I'm very proud of Kraven's Last Hunt, but I can name a bunch of stories that I think that I've done that are a lot better than that. But my opinion doesn't matter. People have taken that story to heart, and it's been reprinted and reprinted and reprinted and reprinted for 35 years. So that's what I mean. It's between the story and the audience. And my job is just to say thank you, because really, it means something to me that people care about these stories at all. That old stories are still not just being reprinted, but being, read for the people come up to me, like with the stuff I did with Keith. I just read Justice League for the first time and I loved it. Well, that's what you hope for, So I never take it for granted. I never take the audience for granted. I can't think about the audience when I'm creating. That's just about me and the story. Nah. But once it's out there in the world, when I get that feedback, whether it's on social media or at a convention or talking to you guys, it means a lot to me, and I profoundly appreciate it. I don't take it for granted.
Yeah, the first time you told me that was basically your introduction to the Defenders, it blew my skull cap off, and I've still been trying to put it back on all these years later.
Oh, I mean, that was my first issue.
You dipped your toe in the water with the story that profoundly good. And like I said, it's profound to me, and I'm not going to tell the story of how I carried that book around the world and all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. But that blew my mind.
You can look at episodes 12, 19, 23, 27.
But in all seriousness here, and then like I said, you get compared to these writers, and then I love this one because I can say your name in the same vein as I say Kurt Vonnegut, because when you come to town, I'll take you to all the Vonnegut spots. But like my mom, I meant to say this an hour ago. I hope my mom and my grandnephew were still watching, because you have at least 4 generations of fandom on here right now. Now, granted, my mom's a fan of you because I'm a fan of you. But like my grandnephew is a university student, and he's a huge fan of your Spider-Man stuff. Huge fan. So you got a teenager. You got multiple generations complimenting you with that. And like I said, I always wondered how that felt to just be thought of in the same way as those people. And, you're humble and you're cool. So again, you just have more cool points in my book, and I can keep blowing smoke. And Nevs, you came on a little bit late. Mark kind of preambled your question a little bit, but Neville, JM DeMatteis, JM.
Hello, sir.
Neville.
Hello.
Hey, man. Very big fan. Okay.
For a minute.
So first question, did you guys ask the Hulk question yet?
Yes.
Sort of.
It's
okay. Of course you did. So, Mr. DeMatteis, there is a thing I've noticed because I did a bit of research coming into this, which is you are very unique in that you seem to actually put endings into superhero comics. And that's a very rare thing. And if you look back, you tell the full story of Max Lord. I mean, Max Lord's story essentially ends in Justice League International 60. And I think most people would agree every exploitation of the character is not the Max you and Keith created. You created the end of Harry Osborn in an incredibly moving way. And again, I think most people would recognize all the post-Harry resurrection from One More Day is not really Harry. And you wrote the most moving ending to any superhero character, I think, in the death of Aunt May. And that is a unique trait. And I was wondering, in those experiences, was there any kind of friction with the offices when you say, hey, look, I have the ending for Aunt May's story, but obviously once Aunt May dies, she's dead? Or, you know, Max Lord is essentially, he's found the lady, he's got over his own internal anxiety, he's going off into the sunset. It's just a thing that you have to negotiate. You start a story going, I can see the through line and the end of the story. I was wondering what your thoughts were.
Well, in those, let me think about those guys. I mean, Max stayed around in the book, though, after that. Max didn't disappear, as I recall. But in terms
I have
of,
a headcanon where everything you and Keith did happened and everything else is fan fiction. And I realize that's probably harsh, but...
Well, but we don't have to get lost in this. We had Max in the book after that, and then when we did formerly known as the Justice League, and I can't believe it's not the Justice League. Max was around then too. Now, in my mind, though, whatever happened with like the stuff I did with Keith exists in its own universe. So any other Max Lord, the Max that killed Blue Beetle and all that stuff, that has nothing to do with us. That's another parallel universe somewhere. But in terms of the other stories you're talking about, like Harry Osborn and Aunt May, or even say the death of Kraven, I got no pushback on any of that. Okay. None of it. It's, I think if those stories are being done now, maybe there would be, or there would be a push to turn them into bigger events or something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They all happened within the context of story. They were not like hyped as events at all. It was not like, Harry Osborn is going to die in this issue, and it just, that was the natural.
Sure. But that's incredibly unique, even from the time. If you remember Marvel at the period, pretty much any excuse to put a shiny cover or a death of, or a rebirth, or a new costume, for you to kind of snuck Harry dying into Spectacular Spider-Man 200 is almost... Right,
and that was a story that we were building. We built that story for 2 years, and again, there was no pushback on that. With Aunt May, I know that my editor, Danny Fingeroth, had to check with Stan Lee to make sure it was okay with him. And Stan was fine with it. And that's it. Same thing with Kraven. I pitched the Kraven story. Nobody said, you can't kill that character or anything like that. Because I think it's all integral to the story. It's not there for shock value. It feels like a natural evolution. And the thing for me is also, I'm not sitting down thinking I'm going to write a story where I kill Harry Osborn. I worked on that storyline for 2 years, and the characters led me to that moment. I didn't lead them to that moment; they led me to that moment. So it's just whenever it's integral to the story, as opposed to when you feel like something's been shoved into a story for some other reason, as opposed to when the story. Well,
Norman Osborn is probably the clearest example of that, I would imagine. But yeah,
So I don't know. So it was not a big deal at the time, and and the other thing is that I often talk about is like when you write, it's comics. It doesn't matter what character you're going to kill off. Chances are very good eventually they're going to come back. It just is. Mm-hmm. But you have to write that story thinking it's the last story that character will ever appear in. You have to believe. When I knocked off Aunt May, I was very moved writing that story. I was in the moment. I was very emotionally moved writing that final scene where she died, because I had to believe it. I couldn't think in the back of my head, in 8 months they're going to say this was just an act, which I didn't know at the time. This is an actress, and it wasn't really.
That was my next question. Thank you.
You have to believe it 100%. And if you look at Harry, he stayed dead for like 20 years. Kraven stayed dead for 20 or 25 years also. You know, so those deaths stuck for quite some time. And
Kraven's about to die again, by the way, because of the movie, and it has nothing to do with you. But
he's going to die again in the comics. You mean?
Huh? No. I
He's
mean,
making
after the movie, he's gonna because I don't hold out a lot of hope for the Sony.
I don't know.
Spider-Man.
That looks good though.
It does look good.
I like
it does
the trailer.
look good. But they
I
changed-
can't. I don't pass judgment on any of these things until they come out because people they see a trailer
No.
and they want to write like an essay about the trailer. You know.
I'm kidding. I'm not serious. I mean, it could be great, and the actors and everything in it. Willem Dafoe is the villain. I mean, it's got every chance of being a huge success. So
you know, you have with all these things, and I know because I've had to adapt comics for animation. It's like you have to, in one way, separate yourself from the source material, and you want whatever that movie or TV show is to exist on its own terms and just tell you a good story, a good, satisfying story. Absolutely. And if it doesn't line up with continuity, as long as it's a good movie and a good story, who cares? You care when the movie or the TV show isn't good, and then we're going to pick it apart and say, but this character's like this and not like that and that and that and that, because it's not good. If it's good, they can sell you on any change they want to make.
Exactly.
absolutely.
I think the only one that completely crashed and burned was Inhumans. They couldn't have messed that up more.
Dude,
The rest
I
of
loved
them,
Inhumans.
they
I'm
have good
sorry,
parts.
I loved it.
Here we go.
I'm sorry. I loved Inhumans. I thought the casting was perfect. I thought and it really freaks me out when people say, they missed the mark. Dude,
They cut Medusa's hair.
well, that was stupid. That was probably a budget cut and a haircut at the same time. But no, I'm sorry. I won't go for.
Are we advertising for budget cuts now?
I think I will argue because even my wife said there wasn't a single likable character.
Can you imagine how well off you must be if you're Medusa's hairdresser, though? That must be the easiest gig in the world.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to follow up. I don't know what the guys asked about the Defenders. So, because the Defenders is a fascinating thing to me because it seems like almost a guerrilla raid where someone at Marvel is clearly a fan of the Justice League and said, hey, nobody's doing anything with the Defenders. These guys are free. Boom. And so there are two intriguing things about that series to me. One, you wrote the ending to the Hulk, right? So the cure to the Hulk, according to you, to the comic you wrote, Mr. DeMatteis.
Please tell me which comic book we're talking about.
Listen, right? So for decades or however long, Thunderbolt Ross or whoever has been chasing the Hulk, getting to try and calm down and angering him, right? And you clearly demonstrate all the Hulk needs is an orgasm.
Oh, in that series. Oh, okay. So I'm thinking about my original Defenders run, and I'm thinking,
okay.
A happy ending for the Hulk.
Right? So all they needed was just to find someone like Marlo. There's no more problem.
I don't know why we have this despot on the show, but
as I said earlier, that was Keith's idea.
I bet it was. Yeah. But okay, so this is another what does Marvel say? Because they can't just go like, oh look, here's the ending to the Hulk. All he needs is an orgasm, and there's no more problem.
I never really thought about it, honestly. I think that's a whole new Hulk series
that's
that's coming soon to Disney
I have
Plus.
clearly put too much thought into this.
I think
so. The other thing was was the Silver Surfer almost imposed on you as part of the brief? Because everyone else, Namor and Bruce, and
that was
Stephen
again. That's Keith's genius. He said, "I want to use the Silver Surfer and just have him hanging out with a bunch of surfers on the beach."
Right?
He never comes into the story.
Per issue.
I know, and I had fun coming up with all that crazy dialogue.
That you guys actually made him a real surfer in a way.
And I had to look up all this surfer lingo to use on those pages that I didn't know. I had to do some research for that.
Cowabunga. No, but that was surfer lingo originally. It wasn't Michelangelo. I just want to say.
So Norrin Rad became Kelly Slater for a few issues.
So I have time for a couple more questions, and I have to go.
Okay, man.
And now you're
Can
all
I
quiet,
ask a
right?
question?
Yeah, Darren hadn't asked nothing yet. Darren, chime in.
I've been very quiet waiting to ask this one question because it's a very deep question that might blow the internet wide open. I want to know what was in these two panels that required them to be blanked out in this comic.
Brilliance.
That was the universe being blinked out of existence for a split
Are you
second.
sure it was not an early Hulk sex scene?
That's you know what? We can finish the show. There we go.
I see how this is ending.
Right.
We're ending at the lowest point possible here. I see, right?
The title of the show is going to be called
Yeah.
Congratulations, Darren.
That's why we bring Darren in. He's our lowest common denominator.
Well, he's
I can put mute back on now.
All right. Nabs, Dan, you guys got any more questions?
I got one last fan question because
Okay.
this is I've been trying to keep it kind of like here are the things I think are interesting, but here's my fan question. Moonshadow is so unlike anything else, even Epic are doing at the time, and I am not old enough to remember how it came about, but it does look very different to everything else Epic or Marvel were doing. And I was wondering, was this a thing you had booting about in your head? Or did Archie Goodwin say, hey, have you got a picture or something? And I want to incorporate what you do into the Epic line. Or I basically want to know how Moonshadow came about.
Okay.
If that's not too long a question.
First,
But also, it's one of my favorite
No,
comics
that's
ever.
okay. I'll throw in a plug because Dark Horse did a beautiful hardcover edition of Moonshadow in 2019. I wrote a whole introduction which tells the whole story, but I'll give you the short version. And Dark Horse will be putting out a nice soft cover edition later this year. So
Kyle just showed the Vertigo edition.
yes, he's very good at like getting the stuff right on screen as soon as it's mentioned. And we didn't even talk about that. I had that in my head for years, from before I was ever in comics, in a very fundamental way. I mean, in my original vision, it was almost like a superhero thing. You know, this kid raised in an intergalactic zoo, and he gets powers and flies around the universe like a Jim Starlin character or something. But I kept working on it. And if actually in the Dark Horse edition, I have my original, like a script that I wrote probably when I was 20 with this character
Stardust. Make me buy a third edition of a comic I already have twice, JM. Go on.
Which was like a kind of a really raw vision of Moonshadow. So it kept, you know, sometimes stories take years, sometimes decades to kind of marinate in the back of your head. And then in the 80s, you know, I have a contract at Marvel. And my contract is up. And what's happening in the business is Epic Comics is happening. Frank Miller's done Ronin, and DC's doing Camelot 3000, and people are breaking out of the mold. And I'm like, I want to do something like that. And I return to this idea, and I start to develop the idea. And originally, here's the parallel universe version. Originally, I was almost going to go back to DC at one point, and my friend Karen Berger, who was an editor there then, I pitched her Moonshadow, and she loved it. And she said, oh, there's this British artist, Dave Gibbons. I would love to put you guys together to do Moonshadow. So in some parallel universe, there's a version of Moonshadow, me and Dave Gibbons. And I saw Dave Gibbons at a convention some years back and mentioned he had no idea this ever happened, you know. But that's the parallel universe version.
Well,
but I decided
the look it had was brilliant. And I don't think you could have. And I know these things are like happenstance and just happen the way they do, but I don't think you could have gotten a better like.
No, absolutely not. And I always say that the stories know better than I do. The stories have a life of their own, and they're trying to pick out the right elements. So I decided, no, I'm going to stay at Marvel. But what I said to Jim Shooter was, but if I'm staying, there are a few things I want to do, and one of which is this thing, Moonshadow. And he said, well, let me send you over to Archie Goodwin at Epic. And I pitched it to Archie, and Archie wanted to do it. And I started looking for an artist. And as we were talking about earlier, you know, that writer-artist chemistry, the whole thing is based on that. Had I ended up with a different artist, it would have been a very different kind of story.
Yeah.
So through my friend Dan Green, I got connected to Jon J. Muth. Dan gave him the outline that I'd written, and we sat down to talk it, and he showed up with some sketches. And I said, wow, that looks very Dickensian, what you drew. And he said to me, well, that's what you wrote. And I went, oh, yeah, you're right. He saw into my story in a lot of ways more deeply than I went, write it, because I had all these chapter headings, like, you know, like from David Copperfield, I Am Born, and all that stuff, you know. And just looking at at Jon's artwork, you can't work with an artist of that caliber without raising your game, you know?
Right.
And we just started to work together and something happened. And I realized, and it wasn't conscious, but it was my opportunity to step out of the Marvel and DC mindset and just write the same way I'd sit down to write a novel. I wasn't thinking about I'm writing comics and this is how a comic book has to be done. And certainly when you're looking at Muth's artwork, there had never been anything like it. It was the first fully painted book in American comics. Right. And that energy, you know, I remember, you know, when we started out, we were going to do it, quote, Marvel style, where I wrote a plot and he would draw. So he, you know, I wrote this plot and he gave me some artwork. And by page 3, this Moonshadow, the narrator, is talking in my head and I'm writing stuff that's not in the art, you know? So It's like we have to go back and read. We worked in so many different ways, you know? So it really was one of the most exhilarating creative experiences of my life. And it also allowed me to get away from the voices of Stan Lee and Steve Gerber and Len Wein and all these guys who I revered and just write and find my own voice as a writer. And I challenged Jay and Jay challenged me. And, you know, the result was pretty magical. And I feel the same way also about we did a sequel for Vertigo 10 years later called Farewell Moonshadow, which is one of my favorite things that I've ever done also. So it remains, along with, like we were talking before, along with Brooklyn Dreams, one of my all-time favorite projects that I've ever done.
Was that, in fact, a stepping stone towards doing the creator-owned work?
Well, that was the first creator-owned project I ever did, yeah.
Got it.
And what happened then really was, and again, a lot of these things aren't conscious decisions, but from that moment on, I was always doing their characters and a creator-owned project, and their characters and another creator-owned project, because there's a liberation to building your own universes and your own characters. Right. Or what I'm doing now with the DeMatteis.
So look, you even have a lunchbox of one of your earliest characters that you wrote for. So I just wanted you to know that.
Okay. Well, okay.
Didn't you
I did not create.
You know what, Bill? Thank you. I feel relieved.
Didn't you write for Man Thing?
I did in the '90s, but not early.
Yeah. But
with Liam Sharp, with the great Liam Sharp.
Yeah, with Liam Sharp, another fella. I need to.
It wasn't that funny, but I thought it would be funny.
Liam, that's another one of my favorite collaborations. That was a book that was canceled and rebooted 3 times in the time we worked on it.
I've been trying to get Liam on the show since the beginning, going back.
He's such a phenomenal artist and creative visionary and a really, really nice guy.
And a UK neighbor to these 4 guys in here with me and Bill.
I do want to say one thing. You did go on to work with Jon later, didn't you?
He worked with me on, he was one of the artists on Seekers into the Mystery, a Vertigo series that I did. And I had Muth and Michael Zulli and Jill Thompson and Glenn Barr. And then I dragged him into mainstream Marvel, and when I was writing Silver Surfer, he did like half a dozen issues of Silver Surfer. Wow. And did them beautifully too. They weren't painted, it wasn't painted art, but it was like, he just adjusted, and he did such a great job with that. He's a very good friend. We live not far from each other. We keep in touch to this day. Our kids grew up together. He's a great guy.
I really liked his Havoc Wolverine.
With Kent Williams. Yeah,
that was really well done. And okay. Well, that's all I had to say. But I'm glad you guys got to work together. And Moonshadow still, I still wish we could have a animated version of that. Somehow.
I think an animated film done in the style of Muth's artwork would be a wonder to behold.
It would.
Yeah.
It would.
So one more question, and I got to go. It better be a good one and not about the Hulk sex life.
I think saying that has validated all the work I've put into comics. Okay, I got one. Have you read the oral history of the Spider Clone Office, The Life of Riley?
Oh yeah, I read that years ago.
Okay, yeah. I was wondering because that is for me an absolutely fascinating period.
And I was
wondering what because it appears to be from the outside looking in that there is a plan, but the person who came up with that plan is replaced within 2 weeks So that person comes up with their plan to sort out the other plan. And this keeps on happening. And it looks like nobody is able to even write 6 months in a row because they don't know if what they're building towards is going to be true at the end of that 6 months. If you see what I mean.
actually parachuted out of the Spider books before it got that crazy.
Okay.
You know, the original, now the Life of Riley thing, from what I remember, was fairly accurate. But, you know, everything is getting filtered through someone's memory, which means immediately there are going to be inaccuracies just because we're human. And, you know, so-and-so was in the room and told so-and-so who told so-and-so. And then you get that version. So probably my version wouldn't be the same as Tom DeFalco's version of what happened, or Danny Fingerell's version. But what I remember is we got together. It's a good way to end. It's a good question to end with. We all got together. We used to have these big spider meetings, you know, and the writers would meet like every 2 weeks. But this was like everybody, the writers, the artists, the editors, they stick us in a hotel for 2 days and we yell and scream and have fun for a couple of days and eat a lot of pizza and Chinese food. And so we were looking for something, you know, the thought was that we needed something to shake the books up a little bit. And Danny had mentioned to me earlier that Terry Kavanagh had this idea of bringing back the clone. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh my God, let's not bring back the clone. What a stupid idea. You know, I wouldn't say that to Terry at the time, but I thought it was just an awful idea. I said, you guys can do that. I don't want to get involved in that one. I'll just stay over here in my book and not do anything.
Send in the clones.
And then we get to the meeting. You know, I remember saying, you know, the only thing that would be really cool is if it turns out that the guy we think is the clone is the real Peter. And Terry said, well, no. Terry said, well, that's what I pitched. And I love, so that was what Terry's original idea was, that the guy we thought was the clone is the real Peter, and the guy who we think is Peter is the clone. I love stories about identity, who we think we are versus who we really are, what reality is versus what you know, we think reality is one thing. I love Philip K. Dick. I love the Twilight Zone. I love all that kind of mind-bending identity stuff, because I think our lives are really about that, kind of sorting through who we imagine we are versus who we really are, what reality is and what's beneath that. So I thought it was a great idea.
And you should have written a Twin Peaks comic.
and so the idea was to do the whole thing in 6 or 8 months originally. It was going to be,
no way. Let's
get in, tell this story, bring back the clone. We find out that Peter's the clone is Peter. The new guy comes in, you know, he wasn't named Ben Reilly yet. Ben comes in, he takes over as Spider-Man. Peter and pregnant Mary Jane go off and live happily ever after, but we could always pull them back in anytime we want. And then we have a new Spider-Man. We're going to create a new supporting cast, new villains. We're going to like relaunch all the books with #1. So that was the plan, to do it quickly. And then what happened was they sold really well. And it was one of the cases, this is my memory, and someone else can contradict me, where the marketing tail wagged the dog. And marketing was like, this is good, keep it going. You know, and then it kept getting extended. And I think the more it extended, the more it kind of lost its way. And then after I left the books, I heard these kind of stories that you were talking about, you know, no one knew from day to day what the plan was going to be, or they would get the plan and then someone up the food chain would change the plan. I'm glad I wasn't there for that. But I will say, you know, there were a whole bunch of 12-year-old kids that were reading those comics now that are adults, and that's their favorite era of Spider-Man. So again, you can't knock it. You know what I mean? Because people love the Clone Saga. The people that hated it were, you know, and even then while the market was crashing, the Spider books kept selling better than most because people were buying that story. It went on too long, absolutely. And but there were a lot of great characters. Ben Reilly. I'm so glad I got to write that Ben Reilly series a couple of years ago. One of my favorite characters, Lost Years miniseries that I did during the Clone Saga. It's one of my favorite stories that I've ever done. The death of Aunt May was during the Clone Saga. There were a lot of good characters. There were a lot of good stories, and there was a lot of stuff that wasn't so good. But and then Kane, another great character. And all of these characters have made their way back into continuity, because they will always come back. One of the reasons why I had fun with the Ben Reilly miniseries, though, we had a character during the Clone Saga called Spiderside, and that was a villain that I was always like, I do not get this character. I don't understand this character. I don't know what he's doing in the story. So when I did the Ben Reilly miniseries, I took it as a challenge. I want to bring back Spiderside and make him into a great villain. And that's what we did with the Ben Reilly series. But the Clone Saga had some great stuff in it. It's just that it started with the marketing wagging the dog, and it just got stretched on and on. Had we gone in and done it in 6 or 8 months, rebooted the books, you would have had Peter and Mary Jane out in Oregon. You would have had Ben as Spider-Man. Peter could have come back once or twice a year for a big storyline and then gone back, and it would have been great. And then at some point, 10 years later, they would have switched it again, because that's the way it goes.
Right.
But there was a lot of great stuff in the Clone Saga, and there was a lot of behind-the-scenes melodrama as well.
So when I read the Aunt May issues that you did and her demise and all, I keep thinking now, since the first Spider-Verse movie, I keep thinking of Lily Tomlin in my head for some reason. And she would be great if they ever wanted to do something set apart from the regular Spider-Man and maybe a miniseries or something on Disney. She would be great as Aunt May.
Yeah. I have to say, though, was it Rosemary Harris who played it in the Sam Raimi movies?
Yeah.
She was fantastic. She was perfect. Absolutely perfect. My hope is somebody on some podcast suggested this to me probably 5 years ago. And if they're going to do it, they have to do it before Tobey Maguire's too old. The idea to get Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst and Sam Raimi, and that's how you do Kraven's Last Hunt. Because you need an older, married Spider-Man. You can't have a young kid Spider-Man and do Kraven's Last Hunt. So that's my fantasy, is to see Kraven's Last Hunt done that way. Or
there's talk of a 4th movie right now with that same team.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw that, that becomes a headline, and then you dig really deep, and someone says, maybe if it happens, maybe, I don't know, and then it becomes a headline. I hope it is, because I love the Raimi movies. I think those Raimi movies are great.
I liked all 3 of them.
Even the third one. I rewatched the third one recently.
I love the third one.
There are flaws, and the main flaws are around, I think, the way they handled Venom, but there is great stuff in that movie.
Well, Thomas Hayden Church and I went to college together. He lives here in San Antonio.
And he was a perfect Sandman.
Wasn't a great Flint Marco. He was fantastic. And
the Raimi movies were so well cast. All those characters looked like they could have stepped right out. They were, for me, the ideal versions of those characters.
Yeah, and Willem Dafoe, oh my God, Dan.
Yeah.
He was so spot on. And the fact that he's in the Kraven movie makes me happy, because he's good in anything. And he plays a great bad guy, but he plays a great anything.
It's true.
So,
well,
thank you, JM. We appreciate all the time you gave us today. And
absolutely.
And thank you, Kyle. I'm so glad Danny could be here today to hang out with us a little bit. But this has been one of my favorite podcasts we've ever done. And I want to thank you from the bottom of all our hearts.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys for your enthusiasm.
Before you sign off, sir. So you want me bugging you in mid-May? Pop back on with
Actually, check in with me toward the end of April, because I want, if we're going to launch the thing in May, I want to be doing this while the Kickstarter's going.
All right. I'll catch
and, if it gets pushed off, then, I'll let you know. But I'll definitely come back when we're doing the Kickstarter.
Outstanding. The door's always open for you.
Yeah,
sir.
and I appreciate it. Thanks. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Take
bud.
good care. Bye-bye.
Hey, have a good one. See you, Jay.
You too. Bye.
Poor Neville lost his signal right there as he was answering the question.
Oh, crap.
But he's got to watch it. So, so he's coming back on for a 4th time, guys. There you go.
Gray slept through the whole thing. Can't believe it.
Yeah, Gray just woke up.
I can't believe he didn't.
I didn't have a chance.
I didn't sleep. I just didn't think I didn't think my cringe reflex could handle Kyle telling the same story again. So I just bowed out.
So Phil brings this up now. This is the issue with the punch. Heard around the world, and JM.
No, this is the issue with the punch heard around the world, isn't it?
No. This is he didn't
that one.
Yeah,
I'm going to show you the page.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah, let's have a punch off.
Dude, so nice.
You never know what's going to happen when you have an active store. What can I say?
You should come on Sleepy Reader some week. You're an old fart. You should come and join us.
Who, me?
Damien.
Oh.
No, Sleepy Reader in the chat.
There's the punch.
Hold on, let me put you on the big screen.
That looks pretty good to me.
Oh yeah, I see it.
And there's some guy
I
Gardner.
see it, and Black Canary misses it.
He clearly misses him. Yes.
Clearly. But what's great is for the next like 60 issues, Guy Gardner is a completely lobotomized character and nice to everybody. And then it's like Fred Flintstone. He gets hit on the head with a bowling ball again, and he's back to his old self. But
So what issue number is that? I thought it was in 1 that happened.
5.
5, okay.
Justice League.
Yeah, and he's giving us the story behind that being Giffen's idea and
So who was just on?
jammed in the
comics inside. I had to close my garage door because my neighbor was gonna start mowing his grass. So. And then,
Now we get to talk to Kyle's chair. So, Chair, how do you feel being Kyle's main support when he sits down? Do you like Kyle? Are you bald?
I quite like it when Kyle's on here because he blows the smoke in a different direction to me.
Yes.
yeah,
Not
There
like
you
you reach across the pond, but yes, I understand, Mark.
yeah,
I understand.
yeah. We
I was
started with a
speaking on
bang
behalf of
there.
the chair.
No sooner,
I'm so sorry. Mark was channeling the chair.
Yeah.
but
chair.
no sooner than we got started, I had my garage door up. A couple of birds flew in my garage and were just flying around my head the whole time there.
We could hear chirping.
I wonder what you were doing. You were sitting there staring up at into space. I thought Kyle looks like he's asleep. What's going on? It's like
I had 2 birds just swooping around my head, flying circles, freaking out because they couldn't get out of my garage. They couldn't fly lower.
It's like the old Tweety Pie thing when they get hit on the head and they got the little bird going.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's right. It probably wasn't any birds. That was concussion, probably.
yep.
This might.
And well, in about 6 weeks, we got him back on again. So, surprise, surprise, surprise.
Someone think of some new questions.
And let's see. I don't know when Bill's got Steve Rude coming on, but I don't think that'll conflict with JM. But hell, having 2 of them on at once would be cool. But unmute. Hey, Bill, unmute. I got a question for Dan.
I muted him because he stepped away for a second. He'll be right back.
All right. Hey, you gonna come back around and hang out next time he comes on?
I mean, I wouldn't mind being on whenever you guys want me on, but I also don't want to intrude.
Oh, you're not. You're not. You're one of us. One of us.
Hey, Bill, they got a question for you. They got a question. They have a question for you.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
Are you wearing panties?
I am. Yes. Question. What's your
I don't
question?
know.
Was it in the chat?
My question was for Dan.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Got it.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought it was for Bill himself.
The guys just
No.
disappear.
Just tried to make people feel welcome on the show. So
Oh, absolutely. This has been fantastic. Thanks for having me on at all.
yeah, I've pulled in like 5 or 6 different pros over the I keep wanting to say years, but we barely hit a year at this.
Oh, we've been doing it more than a year, Kyle.
Huh?
This show's 70, isn't it? Or 71?
We've been doing it more than a year. So this started.
Oh, a year and a quarter, I guess. I keep wanting to say years, but it's a year and small change.
Got it. Well, it seems like it's been going on a lot longer because it's so well practiced for you guys.
Guys, I have to show y'all something because most of you guys are UK boys.
Yeah.
I was so happy to have this. This is an entire Judge Dredd lot.
Oh, nice.
But it's the American one.
It's the Eagle, but it's like issue 1 through 30, and I got a couple of number 1s. But I just have to show you one of my favorite covers of all time.
Judge Anderson.
Judge Anderson and Judge Death.
Boland.
I mean, anything Brian Boland did was just worthy.
But don't we all love the Judge Fish cover? I mean, come on.
Okay, let me.
I
Bill
do.
has been raving about Judge Fish, so we will. Actually, I'm going to show you 3 of my favorites. That is a great cover.
That is a great cover.
Dredd and a
That's
hail of
fantastic.
bullets bouncing off his helmet. I mean, whoever owns that original art, I am so jealous. And then the head on a stick.
Wow, that's a great one. Yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
I mean, Brian Boland is a genius, but then Bill has to be in love with Judge Fish.
Do you know when I was at Leeds University, and we voted in a goldfish to be head of the Students' Union. So we had a goldfish as head of our Students' Union committee, and it died in office.
It died in office.
Was its name Mark Goldroyd?
No Judge Dredd, but I mean, Apocalypse War. That's a very cool cover. I just loved. I mean, now if you like hot girls on comics, this is not your issue.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I love it because it was the Get Ugly at some ugly clinic because people wanted to be uglier, so they could go get ugly.
Also, some.
Hey, I had a threesome with those.
That's how you define bumping uglies.
Oh,
Oh, good one, Kyle.
yeah. So I'm so excited. I mean, look, just Judge Dredd. For me as a kid in the 80s, I discovered Judge Dredd, and it was a game changer for me in comic books just because it was so different. Because back when I was growing up, it was Spider-Man and X-Men and Aquaman and all the mainstream. And I loved Batman, but then
Super Friends.
Then Judge Dredd changed my life. And believe it or not, the way I discovered Judge Dredd was because of Anthrax.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Not the cattle killing
Got in.
but I Am the Law from Anthrax. Your ISO cube is ready when he brings you in, But Judge Death, and then the most iconic, of course, Judge Dredd #1. Yeah. I mean, it's just, oh my gosh, dude.
Bill, did you just get here? Did you just get there?
The quality.
Did I just get where?
I was just wondering if Phil just got there. I was wondering why he didn't pop in on us and ask J.M. any questions.
I did just walk in.
Oh, you just missed J.M.
Aaron's earning my respect though right now in this live streaming extravaganza.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
This is the next set, basically.
Yes, I in my personal collection I have everything. I don't have any 2000 ADs from the UK though. So one of you guys has to make me a deal.
I've got a full set sitting here waiting for you.
I need to save up because that's not cheap, especially that first appearance.
The postage will cost you more than the comics.
Dude, that's
probably it, yeah.
I've just done a full list of what I need, Darren. I was going to talk to you about that later.
Oh my God.
I'm going to reach out to you about something as well, Darren.
I'm gonna just go and pick up another pile. And if you like those,
oh my God, the fat person cover. That's
well,
awesome.
And also in the Eagle one, they had one of those. Here is the League of Fatties. The League of Fatties Eagle edition.
Is that Sergio?
Batlash.
Is that Sergio? I don't know.
It looked like it might be. Might be that or Severin though. Who was the artist on the cover of that Batlash?
Did you watch the Judge Dredd movie, the Dredd movie, the second one? They see the belly wheel on the floor when they go into where there's been a shootout. There's a belly wheel lying on the floor. Fatty's there lying next to it. Do you remember?
I did not.
I saw that in the cinema. I saw the belly wheel and I thought of the Fatties. I think it's Nick. I might be Nick Cardy. I'm not sure. Let me show my haul then, where you guys can. Might be Nick Cardy. I'm not too sure. I can never recognize artists. So I finally finished the run anyway. It's the last one I needed for that run.
That's Nick Cardy.
No, well, somebody else then.
Guys,
I don't know.
I made my own Judge Dredd helmet.
That was just literally plucking her name out of my head.
You made your own Judge Dredd. What?
I did a full Judge Dredd costume for Halloween one year, and that's the helmet.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Great.
It's made out of resin.
No.
Here's my vest that I was
I
working
think Dredd
on.
would not approve, though. Dredd doesn't approve of judges with facial hair.
Real, I know, but he always has the 5 o'clock shadow, so he can't.
Facial hair, 3 years in the cube.
Yeah, no, it's not against the law, but he just didn't approve.
Guys,
Didn't think it was.
I'm going to
for
show you
judges.
my final costume, and this was at Halloween because I always go all out for Halloween. And this was my final Judge Dredd costume with some people dressed as Star Wars characters. But my lawgiver looked legit. My leathers looked good. And everybody's like, dude, are you a cosplayer? I was like, no, I like Halloween.
You are a cosplayer.
Well, I don't go to
That's
convention.
the movie.
Judge Dredd.
That's the movie lawgiver, though, not the comic lawgiver.
That's the Carl Urban Judge Dredd. And then a friend of mine actually,
not the comic book lawgiver. Yeah.
a friend of mine did a pinup for the Judge Dredd magazine in the UK, and this is his art from the Judge Dredd magazine, and he sold me the original artwork. But he did this pinup of Dredd, and they picked it up for the Judge Dredd magazine, and it was really exciting because I was like, dude, you've made it. But I have the original art for that. I'm a nerd. I'm sorry.
Cool.
No.
Yeah, you're apologizing to a room full of nerds.
One of us.
Oh my God. We are a nerd collective. Who are you
Yeah, what are you
apologizing?
doing? We don't
geeks,
want
not
nerds on this show. Out. No nerds.
Great. Great, go big
We're
again.
geeks, not nerds.
I have something I want to show on.
Oh,
Gray, show us those comics again. The Total War is where you got to.
Can't be asked, mate.
What was the Total War one, though, Gray? Was that an oldie?
Couldn't hear you.
Yeah, no, it looks like, but it's not. It's reprints though. It's actually quite recent, like 2001. You see the price on there.
Oh,
But
shit,
I didn't know
yeah,
ACG
yeah.
was still going as a comic
Wow.
group. Someone was selling it on YouTube, on Facebook. Only cost me.
I agree with you, Gray. I mentioned this the other day.
Hold on a second. Can we just go to Collecting Chaos? I was busy and couldn't get to the computer quick, but Nick Carney did the covers for all the 7 original Backlash series, so I was right.
I was wrong.
Apparently.
So, do you guys know what this is?
Yes,
I was right. It's even more surprising.
It's the slap issue.
Oh, that's the slap.
Yes.
You showed it last week, didn't you?
Yes, and I
You showed
feel
it last week, mate.
well, yeah. Oh, I think I just got. Well, I feel a little guilty. I'm gonna show this while Phil's here
the
because
bit slap issue.
yes, Phil gave me a wonderful deal on this, and then he goes, "Okay, Bill, spill the goods."
No, I didn't ask him anything. He was like, hey, what's my price on this? I didn't even look. I just saw what I had it marked, gave him it to him for half price. And then he's like, you know what this is, don't you? And I'm like, no. And he goes, it's the slap issue. So I told him I feel tricked.
Yeah,
And you know what he's going to do,
I
Phil?
feel bad about that, but notice it's still mine.
You know
But
what he's going to do, Phil?
Now I have to find.
What's the
one.
price on that Weird War you showed earlier?
Oh,
What's the price on that Weird War comic you showed earlier?
well,
I'm pulling
first,
out my
Elite
big
Creature
pickle
Commander.
yeah,
sauce.
but it's 179 right now.
Whoa.
Well, it's the speculator's price because I
Wow,
collect.
yeah, I knew.
So here's
$1.79. Bought. I want it. Bought.
Huh?
$1.79.
no.
$1.79.
Yeah,
I think
you know better than
I
that.
do have things in the shop that I say it's priced not to sell because I like it. Like my Golden Record Spider-Man #1. I priced it double what it's worth because I want to have it in the shop. But if somebody really wants it, I'll work with them. But I just don't want it to sell. You know, it's
Right.
better to have it. And so that Creature Commandos, I'm a Weird War collector. I legit have been a Weird War fan since I was a little kid. And I love the Creature Commandos. I read that as a little kid. It had no collectible value until last year when they announced the animated series. And now it's gone crazy. So I wanted to have one in the shop. So I priced it not to
So
Annoying.
we call that the PFU price. It's Phil's FU price. If you're willing to spend that much on it,
Yeah,
then great.
I do the
Or
same
if you
thing.
ask him about it, yeah, he's very sweet.
Yeah.
We'll help you.
I've been doing the same thing on my online store. If it's something I go, I don't really want to sell this, I put it at a price that's out.
What
you know.
number?
Yeah, and I do that with a lot of my favorite pieces too.
Gray,
But
that one with the squid. That one there, Gray. That one's got some value, you know. The one with the squid on the cover.
That's
Yeah, I know.
crococ.com.
Yeah, I really wanted this one because the first Killer
That's
Croc
easy
and
to say
apparently
for me.
Jason, what's his face as well? Apparently, he's the first one of him.
Jason Todd.
Apparently, yeah, Jason Todd. That's the fella.
Sergeant Rock.
I did a video of these already, so some people would have seen these before already. Am I going the right way? I know.
Did you just get these?
Yeah, this is my last haul.
They're great.
I'm running next door to unload something to the warehouse. I'll be right back.
Okay, bud. See you in a minute.
Next haul will be at the mall, I think.
Well, you've already got
Oh,
about,
weeks away now, isn't it?
you've already got about 30 comics coming your way.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, that's good.
hey,
We've
Phil
got
and
to the
Phil.
mart.
Did Phil scoot?
I was kind
Did Phil scoot away?
What?
Did Phil scoot away?
He went
Phil's
on.
there.
He's
Yeah.
going to unload a
There's another.
No, I was just
Key,
wondering. Do you
first
want me to
Black
talk
Racer.
to JM? Do you guys want to try and get him in the
It's,
door?
I hadn't seen that guy on the squeeze.
But let me talk. Let's talk about that, Kyle.
All right.
We're skewing more towards artists because they can do stuff
Yeah.
at the store. But yeah, and now I'm really gonna have to haul ass and try to make everything work for this because I kind of waited too long, but we've still got 4 weeks before he comes, so I think we'll have a full house.
I like this one. This is cool.
Is that a magazine, Gray?
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
eerie. It's
Yeah.
EC
Magazine.
Warren,
I've got.
That was
I've
from
got
1967. That was I only got that.
I'm betting. I
That's
haven't asked him, but I bet Dan has a pretty good run of this.
Actually, I don't. It went a little bit outside of what I'm focusing on.
Oh, that's
But I-
why.
Oh, Vampirella, Mark.
My birthday sister.
What's
First
the
born,
rare-
same month as me.
What's the rarest issue of Vampirella?
Sorry.
Of the original run?
The
What's
rarest one.
rarest
I've no idea.
There's
Huh?
one.
No.
I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
Number 2 because I didn't know what the
113. Yep, Dan got it.
113.
I have Gray and Kyle already know this, but Mark and Bill and Dan don't. I have uncovered the rarest issue of Harley Quinn.
Uh-oh.
What? What?
No.
Oh, my God. Gotta
Oh, it's
show
a
that.
Gina.
Get me on big screen, Gray, with all the
But,
guys
yeah.
on the side.
Darren, are you talking
No, I have
rarest or most expensive?
Both.
But
Well,
yeah,
The
He's
one
gonna
is not
blow-
rarest.
He's talking
He's
rubbish. Is what he's
talking
talking.
about Batman Adventures 12. That is not the rarest. That
This
the
is
most
going to blow
expensive.
your mind, guys. Hitherto unknown appearance of Harley Quinn. Photo cover.
Who is that?
It's Foxy Roxy.
But men only is like Playboy, right? So
Harley skin.
I'm going to show you something from the story inside, but I've had to censor a few bits, okay?
Because I'm-
Otherwise we'll get banned. Are you ready? But it's pretty cool story.
Here's the articles. Wait, what? Holy moly! Holy,
Right,
glad you
so-
covered all that.
Okay, I've got a whole load of questions now, Darren.
emphasis on that.
So why is the area with the reader's copy a reader's copy and the boobies are near mint?
Well, I ran out of stickers, so I had to just use what I had.
Dude, that is
You
so
ruined
wrong.
the value of that magazine.
Yeah, oh my god.
They're very fine.
Was this before Harley Quinn? Well,
This was a friend of mine was in hospital about 3 years ago, and just for a joke, I bought him some of these mags to stick under his bed so the nurses would find them. Anyway, he found them and he was like, "Really? Get those out of my goddamn hospital room!" So I brought them home and they just sat on a pile. And I just walked past them the other day and accidentally knocked one of them off. And that was the second one in the pile, and I just howled with laughter.
that's
So
funny.
anyway,
That's really
this is
funny.
$2,000 if you want to buy it. This is a one-off.
No thanks.
No,
No, we don't, Darren. We don't want any of your one-offs. Thank you very much.
that's a one.
Yeah, that's a one-off.
I
Right?
would buy it, but the grains are all over the shop.
There does seem to be a little bit of water staining to it, though.
He won
Water,
off on the
water
cover.
isn't sticky.
That's
I'm
what
just
we're calling
saying.
it now.
Water is
Have you
not.
made the staples rusty, Darren? Have you made the staples rusty?
Yeah.
So,
We need what's that
as
stuff you can get in
usual.
the States? We need some goo gone.
Good God.
So
Yeah, as usual, Darren is now competing with Kyle for who is the bottom of the barrel.
oh my god, that is so bad.
Let us not have him.
Yeah,
ask
true.
what the rarest-
No.
Let us not have him ask us what the rarest appearance of the old witch is next.
Yeah. We don't.
Yes.
Thank you, Kyle. Well, of course, Kyle has it on hand. I mean,
Yes, of course.
and on something else, but we won't go into that. But, okay, since we've got just a couple minutes left, I do want to apologize to Bob Beerbaum. Bob, I did question the authenticity of your cancer. I now know you do have cancer, and I want to apologize for any harm I did. We have met several times in person. We've eaten dinner together, and we've done an interview. So I do want you to know we have met in person. Because you've been telling people you don't even know if we've ever met. We have. And I just want to apologize from the bottom of my heart because I know you're going through pure hell now. I'm not a coward, as you said. I have no problem. I'm doing this live in front of people. And I want you to know I'm very sorry that I doubted the severity of your illness and your illness. And I want to tell you, our prayers go out to you. And you know what? I think you're a wonderful historian, and I hope we get to see your Comic Store Wars book in some way, shape, or form at some point. But I want to tell you, we love you. I'm very sorry for what I said, and that I went there. It was wrong of me, and I want you to know I appreciate you, and you're a good person. I know there are stories out there about you, but I'm not gonna feed into that. I want you to know how much I apologize, and want you to know that I truly hope that you can get through this. And as comic fans all around here, we all support you, and thank you for what you've done for the industry. Thank you for what you did for direct sales, and thank you for just being you. So
Okay.
Thank you, Bob. And again, sorry.
All right. That's taken care of. Enough of the somberness. Are you guys ready for an exclusive?
Yes.
All right.
Uh-oh.
On that same vein, guess what, Bill?
What?
I don't really have cancer. I just like going into doctors and having my asshole probed and cameras shoved up my dick.
Well,
Kyle, we knew that all along,
We
mate.
all knew that, mate.
yeah. So I will say this, Kyle.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that you always wanted to be alien probes has always worried me a little bit, but also made me think that maybe you already had been.
I
Yeah,
will.
you wouldn't
You'll
know.
know by my mood next week what my oncologist said, because Monday I have a big fucking appointment. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. I either hear the word remission again or you're fucked.
We're praying for you, buddy.
And there's no two sides to that. It's a you're still cool or you're fucked.
Well,
There's no middle ground.
Remission.
It is literally such a pain in the ass not to know I could be progressing or anything like that. There's no progression. There's no
Kyle, you've had two good ones in a row, haven't you? You've had two.
one real one. One was positive. They've all been positive. They've all been your body's reacting the right way.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like what happened with my mom was her body reacted the wrong way. Poor lady had to spend 2 months in the hospital in hospice care. So I've been trending in the right direction. But this is a bad year for me no matter how you slice it. And it's absurd. It's fucking absurd that my survival rate drops from 75 to 80% to 15 to 30% this year.
Why?
They run 5-year cycles on survival rates, and I'm on my 5-year cycle. So my survival rate basically drops from 75 to 30 this year.
Okay, well, fingers crossed.
And it's one of them stupid things that just slaps me in the face. You know what I mean?
However, Kyle, on the plus side, you are a Martinez, and your mum was on the chat today. I spotted her. We didn't get time to talk to her because we had JM here.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Janet.
You got the same genes as your mum. You should be okay, mate.
Yeah.
Love you, Janet.
Yeah, Martinez is not her first husband. I'm an Andrews, but no, from my mom's side,
You look
I
so
got the German and the Irish.
I thought you were Hispanic.
My mom is a Kesky and a McGraw. You could not get more German, and you could not get more Irish. So, literally.
Not a very good one. I got
you.
So in that case, Kyle, it's potatoes and sausage every day for you.
And I got her dad's feet because I'm only 5'10", size 15 feet.
Gordon Bennett.
I'm not even 6 feet tall. I have size 15 feet. I got that from her dad.
And you know what they say? Big shoes mean big
Prostate?
feet.
Shoestrings.
Prostate. Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. But
Bill, don't. He's liable to show you what his assets are.
I'm going to be a little bit somber.
It'll be like zip thud. You know, we know Kyle.
I mean, Pete, you've noticed in the thread and stuff, and I've talked a few things. I'm going to be a little bit somber this week.
It's been more than 4 hours.
it builds up. These cycles build up where my head just gets the worst of me leading into these appointments, and then I'll feel a lot better. Once I get to decompress, once I walk out of that appointment, it's the definition of a weight being lifted off your shoulders. I cried. When they first said remission, I cried. I felt like an elephant jumped off my back.
Well,
I'm going to feel that again, hopefully Monday. So,
here's to hoping the elephant still jumps for you.
Fingers crossed.
So Dale wanted to say hi real quick. Hi, Dale.
Hello, Dale.
Hey, Dale.
So,
I like the t-shirt. I like the t-shirt, Dale.
Yeah.
Very cool.
One of many.
none of them can shoot worth a fuck, though. I
No.
just say that for the record. But no. Well, hey guys, I guess
That's why there's no baby stormtroopers.
I guess it's time for us to bid adieu. But I just want to say thank you guys for facilitating me saying that.
I'm in no rush to finish it, Bill. If you want to stick around,
okay,
because,
well then, yeah.
I'm paying for it for this month, so we can hang around as long as we like, and Darren can go through like 10 or 8 boxes or something. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Well,
I could send Darren my 2000 AD list, and he can start putting them aside for me and working out how much they're coming to.
So I do want Dan to tell us a little bit about what he's doing at South by Southwest. He comes most every year, and he's involved with the comedy program, and I just wanted him to say a few words about that.
I think Bill's making more of it than it is, but I've been coming down for 21 years because that's how long comedy's been running at South by Southwest. But like, I'm not officially part of anything. I'm just a guest of the festival. I was here about a week and a half ago recording a special on an album for a comedian from Austin. But
and what artist was that?
Colton Dowling, who you haven't heard of yet, but hopefully will be, because that's kind of what I do. I sort of set people on their path.
That's great. I love that. I'm a big comedy fan. I've supported alternative comedy. I go to the Edinburgh Festival.
I did once myself.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think I'm into my 42nd year at the Edinburgh Festival.
Oh, wow. All right, so you'll be there in August this year?
Probably go. I usually go in August, yeah.
We should stay in touch because I might be filming a special this year at the Fringe.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, we could meet up. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you're that big of a fan of comedy, and you just
I love stand up. I love stand up.
So you just must adore me like crazy because I'm a comedic genius.
You're my favorite, mate.
No, talking to, who is your favorite? Who is your favorite comedian then, Mark?
Oh,
I tell bad jokes.
So I used to love. I saw her first at the Edinburgh Fringe before anybody had heard about her. Victoria Wood. I like Steve Coogan, the Alan Partridge character. But there's a whole host of them. Eli Woods, was it? He's American, a sort of beanpole of a guy. He was really funny.
Right.
Whole load of. I mean, there's just. I love.
Mickey Flanagan.
I'm not that old. I'm not that old.
The last comment time, I don't go comedy that often. Last time I went was Milton Jones because I really enjoy Milton Jones. I just find him so hilarious.
He's a punster. Yeah, he's a punster. So he's one-liners. I
gladly claim to be a wannabe Buddy Hackett. I've wanted to be Buddy Hackett since I was like 6 years old.
I think you're the only one.
He was an early influence for me.
Oh, he's great.
You succeeded because I don't know who he is. And I don't know who you are. So that's a success.
Buddy Hackett telling blue comedy is some of the funniest shit ever.
It is. I'm a big fan of Rodney. That's sort of the idea.
Hang on a minute. Was an American comedian called Bill. I'm sure you worked with an American comedian, didn't you? Bill Hicks?
Bill Hicks, yeah. From Texas, yes.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks, Mitch Hedberg.
For Bill.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And we were talking about it over lunch today. It's like Bill always said, "Well, I want you there because that way it's a double bill." And I still think that's hilarious. But there were like 3 other bills that he could have chosen, so I'm glad he chose me most of the time. But he was great. I got out of the business.
The cheapest bill.
What?
You were the cheapest Bill.
I still am the cheapest Bill. But I got married just a couple years before he passed away, and I was already kind of phasing out because I had 2 careers going at once. Without stand up, but stand up was still very good to me, and stand up got me a lot of the gigs that I did separate from comedy. But
is there any footage of your stand up anywhere, Bill?
You know what? Probably not, because it was so long ago and there was not I could recreate it right now for no, I'm kidding. But
it goes a little something like this.
It goes a little something like this. But I was very I was very easily led by Bill in a good way, because he taught me. Well, he told me basically the first time I opened for him, he told me, "You're doing great, but you're doing everything wrong." and I understood that afterwards. And he liked my jokes. He said my delivery needed work, and not only that, but to play into my real self, which of course, is I don't even know what that is, but I did, and I was really grateful to him because I would not have become a decent comedian without him. And I actually got paid, which a lot of people didn't back then, and I owe a lot of that to Bill. Bill died way too soon. He was 32, just way too soon. And he
young. I mean,
yeah, and but he had look. One of the main things he did before he died was he got kicked off of the David Letterman show, and that was a hard thing to do. And Dave felt horrible about it after Bill passed, and so maybe 10 years after he passed, he had Bill's mom on the show and said, "I'm so sorry we did that." He goes, "It was a knee-jerk reaction on my part." And he goes, "I'm very sorry." And she goes, "Well, it's too bad you can't tell him in person, because he's gone." And she was right. And it was sad, but, sometimes people get banned for the wrong reasons. And
well, I think he got banned for the right reasons. He was extremely anti-establishment.
Well, no, but that's why you need comedians.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need Lenny Bruce's. You need Bill Hicks. You need
Harvey Pekar and Andy Kaufman
that he's done work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we can't, you had black comedians like Red Fox that a lot of their material was blue, and then they made almost seamless transition to television.
Rudy Ray Moore.
They knew how to curb the bad stuff long enough to do what they had to do. And I think that's a sign of a true professional. I mean, I'm not saying you should ever have to censor yourself, but if you're a blue comedian, there are definitely times you need to censor, especially if you're on an all ages show or TV series. And but I will tell you this, and Kyle knows this, Red Fox's real name is Fred Sanford.
Fred Sanford.
Yeah. And that was his most popular character. So he was really being himself. He was just being an older version. He was 42 when he was playing a 65-year-old. And there are a lot of people that did that. Victor Buono, case in fact, played Betty Davis's father when he was only 24. So, I mean, there's some comedians and character actors that just don't look their age. They look far older or far younger. He was one of them. He died at the very young age of 43 years. But he was the most memorable Batman villain of Batman 6. He was King Tut. And so he really, and he the reason he was so good is because he was so damn funny.
I mean, standing to Bill's point, I'm only 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks a little old for his age, but
yeah, he's had a hard life.
It's very hard.
The weird thing is he has a 15-year-old. I don't even know how that happened. But
no, I think knowing Bill probably counts for a large amount of it, actually.
Thanks, Mark. I think. But that I think has been my go-to joke since my friend Carrie died recently. His parents went to this church. Carrie never went to this church. And the pastor there kept saying, I never met Carrie yet. And and he kept saying that joke, and it's not, I mean, it's funny kind of one time, but he means in the hereafter, of course. Well, at the after party of his funeral, which ran for like 6 hours, it was great, by the way. That's all we could do was say, I haven't met Carrie yet. So if you say that, yeah, I think of that joke, but I can't get out of my head now. But no, this has been great. I want to thank everybody. I'm going to go try to take care of some store business now, but I want to thank once again Dan.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Dan.
Here.
Thanks for having me.
We're so glad, and we will have him back. Except he'll be up north next time,
Okay.
and I'll still be down south. You know how that goes. But Darren, you didn't get to show off many comics today. I apologize.
We ain't done that necessarily. You can show some now.
Oh yeah, you can show some now. What are you? Are you in a bunker now, Kyle? Oh no, it's just a
I think this is turned into an episode of the Twilight Zone, actually.
Yes,
Bill.
yes.
Gray appears to be buried in a bunker, and Kyle appears to be next door.
Yes, they're next door neighbors. We have a lot.
Oh yeah, some nice old Marvel.
Nice little copy.
This is from the Bolton collection, the last box that we haven't seen yet.
Oh, these are nice. These are nice. You don't see these very often. You see number 1 quite regularly, but you don't see this lot.
So did you buy them from John Bolton or Michael Bolton?
They had half of the collection each. One of them wanted to sing me about it, and the other one wanted to tell me a load of jokes. He was like, come on, guys.
There's some cool split covers.
Those look pretty good shape.
Say again, Mark.
Going back to something I said ages ago, I thought the Inhumans TV show was all right. I didn't mind the.
Are those your pricings on these, or are they?
I didn't mind the Inhumans TV show. Bill?
I'm afraid I was with Kyle. Anybody who has an Inhuman show and cuts off Medusa's hair deserves to be shot.
I know, I agree, but the rest of the series was really, really good.
I like the actors.
Yeah, the actors were great.
I thought the villains. Yeah.
Anson Mount's fantastic.
Yeah, but the budget was crap, and you're right. They probably cut their hair off because they didn't have the budget to do
I'm
anything.
sure, and that sucked.
Yeah.
So I do. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Can I show a couple things real quick, Darren? Okay, so Phil bought a collection last week, and it's a pretty good collection. And I don't know if you guys seen this.
That's a good one.
Oh, nice.
And I know Mark saw it earlier.
I need one of them.
Can we hear me again?
Guys,
put it on my pile.
Now this, I will say this.
My pile, please.
This is a $60,000, $80,000 to $80,000 book now. Now this is missing pages, but thank God none of them are story pages. They're all ad pages that are missing, and he's got $9.99 on it. I mean, you're not going to find
$9.99. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I knew
you realize though that's still just a 0.5 because of that, even though it doesn't.
Yeah, but a 0.5 is still worth.
Yeah, that's actually basically the price for a
right. No, exactly. But
any collection that's got Avengers 1 in, you're going to have some sweet stuff coming up.
Yeah. And so we also had, and I didn't realize, Kyle, I'm sure you know this, but
how much does Conan #1 go for nowadays?
$600, $599, and this is a really nice copy too. But I do want to say we got the.
I need a really bad copy.
How rare it was, but we got a very rare purple cover of Sandman 1, the Kirby one.
Yeah.
And that's worth like 3 times more than the regular. And I'd never even, and I go, dude, this is purple. Ours is blue. And Phil's like, no, it's not. And I showed him, and then we looked it up, and he goes, oh my God. Yep. So.
Same with the green FF110.
Is that just a printing ink running out of one of the colors?
Yeah, it's printing ink.
No, it's not running. It's printing ink that was replaced with the wrong ink. It was.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so for a very short period of the run. So, but it's gorgeous. And
same thing happened to FF110. If you get a green copy of FF110, keep hold of it.
I know that one, yeah.
And I have the orange copy of 60 something that I showed on the show one time. But no, it's funny. he also got like 3 or 4 different price variants in there too, which are really rare. However, most of the price variants came from San Antonio, which is very interesting. Apparently,
Well, I told you San Antonio was a hub. San Antonio was a test
yeah,
work
yeah,
hub.
yeah. And but I didn't know that till you told me.
Yeah. Yeah, San Antonio, Indianapolis, and St. Louis were the big 3.
Deathlock.
Death Clock.
Is that his first appearance?
No.
No, I don't
What
think
was
so.
his first
No.
appearance? He's in that run.
It's
About 28, 7.
25. Issue 25.
That's a nice
I've
one.
got that one, I think. Yeah.
That's
What?
around about your birthday book.
Has he muted us?
Not far. No, 117 is my birthday book. First
missed it.
first Falcon. In the grip of the gargoyle. Why the heck could the gargoyle fly? He could fly, the great gargoyle, couldn't he?
Made
I
of
seem to
stone.
recall.
No, the Great Gargoyle
Yeah, he couldn't fly.
couldn't fly.
I'm sure I
He's-
remember seeing him flying in a comic book. I was like,
Diving.
what the hell?
He was diving out.
Yeah, diving out.
I don't know, maybe.
Diving out flying.
Solar, man of the atom.
I don't know what's coming next. I just know that there's a box of comics. I just keep raking them in.
Queen of the Werewolves.
Hey, it's the African American Lois Lane.
Hmm.
That one's not boarded. How dare they?
Bondage cover. Boy, that's bad girl art right there. Steve's
the
a
girl?
bad girl in that picture.
It's more bondage at that point.
Of course, my whole family's watching this right now. So everybody say hi to my mom, my grandnephew, my daughter, my
Hey, all those
grandson,
people.
my son-in-law.
I just got these in an auction.
All
These
right.
very same issues, yeah.
Oh, Mark, did you see the box of Beano and Dandy?
I
on
need
sale room this
Someone who's
week?
cat my run.
No, I didn't see it.
What?
So
Man,
yeah,
I'd actually bidded. I bidded £650, and they went for like 1,250.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't play in the UK
What was that on?
market.
On some Beano and Dandy, right? And it said in the description about 300 Beano and Dandy comics from 1946 to about 1955.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of pals with the auction company, one of the guys at the auction company, and I gave him a call after, just before it was just after, and he said, "Oh yeah, the description was made by the person who sold the comics, the guy who owned the comics.
Yeah.
His description was wrong. There was a bunch of them there from the war years." And I said, "No, their war years are like 3 times more expensive, so you absolutely have to get your description right."
Oh my God.
Oh,
These auction companies are hopeless.
Yeah.
They do the best they can, but they often fall short. Yeah.
But-
and I said,
There's quite a few of these small auction houses in the UK. They don't have a comics expert.
yeah.
Right? So when somebody brings comics in, they go, "Oh, comics! I know comics are worth quite a lot."
Yeah.
But then, you know,
I
they
said
look.
to him, can you check for a Beano 452, which was about 1951, I think. Any idea what happened in Beano 452?
First appearance of Dennis the Menace.
Bang
Not
on,
100.
500 quid
Oh.
comic. And it's a couple of £100, even if it's like you've wiped your
Yeah.
ass with it.
Yeah.
So he said, "I don't know, I'll have a look."
That's horrible. So for those who may not know this out there, in the same month in the UK and the US, we both debuted Dennis the Menace characters.
Yeah.
And there's one that's an early prototype for a Punk, which is the UK version. And then the other one is the one that everybody knows, Dennis the Menace, you know,
In the US.
with the flip of hair in the back and stuff. So just to let people know that.
It is incredible that at the same time, completely independently.
Yeah, but the UK one was way more a menace. Our Menace was kind of nice.
Yeah,
Your
Menace was sort of like a slightly middle class Richie Rich.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, very much so.
And I knew, Mark,
Rich.
I knew with this collection that if I could get it for, I don't know, I'd bid $650. That was my max bid. If I'd have gone to view it, I would have bid more. But I knew that if I could win, and I'll tell you now, I would have won that auction if I'd have known there were war issues in it.
Yeah.
And I could have taken it out of that local auction and put it straight into, and I'm going to do a shout out here to a guy who I've used a lot before, and he's very, very good, Malcolm Phillips at Compal.
Yeah, I know Malcolm. I bought stuff from Compal.
He's been going for years. He's fabulous. And he would have easily doubled the amount of money, whatever I'd paid.
I've not had a catalogue from Malcolm for a year or so.
You have to pay for them.
He used to send me them free.
You only get a free one if you've got items in his auction.
You're on the outs now, Oldroyd. Sorry. you're not popular. You're not with the cool kids anymore.
But I once took some Beano and Dandy down to him because I wouldn't post them, so he gave me tea and biscuits.
Darren,
and he's a lovely guy.
Darren,
Darren.
On. So
I have that autograph by JM.
So this is
and
the
Beatty and Zach.
So this is the last issue. If I'm not mistaken, Kyle will correct me if I am. This is one of the last issues where they were allowed to use the swastika.
Oh wow!
Well, they just tried to shy away from it.
It's there on the cover.
Yeah, they were trying to shy away.
You're not checking out my numbers. You're not checking out my numbers, Darren.
What is this of this set? I think that's nearly everything, Gray.
I've got that issue signed by DeMatteis, Zach, and Beatty.
And that's a Kirby cover there.
That's a nice cover. I haven't seen that.
With Aunt May. I'm kidding.
Ooh, different set. Ooh.
Oh goodness.
Number 2.
I've got that run.
I kind of want. I want all those.
Appointment to me,
but I don't need to add to my collection. But those are all pence. I want every one of those. You got a one. I think heading my way. I think I want
this one. This one has got. See that little yellow patch? That's where they had a price sticker on it.
Yeah.
And it's been pulled off.
Yeah.
Without Gugon.
No.
Without Gugon,
you got to pull it off with Gugon, guys.
Well, that doesn't stop the fading.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's come off. I would be amazed if it's still sticky, but the fading is what it's.
There's
that's
favorite.
That's one of my first great comics. Is that the Giffen?
Yeah, Griffin.
Griffin, I mean, sorry, the Giffen. No, he's a record producer.
Griffin,
yeah.
Geffen.
Yeah, I like the
Giffen
Griffin.
just died. Geffen's a record producer. And
Griffin. You know,
bad guy.
That's nice.
That's really nice. I don't know if I've ever seen that one. And then I'll go home and find it in my collection. Oh, I do own that one.
Yeah, I own that one.
Look at the kind of
number
the
9.
Marvel
That's
cover
quite an early
comics
one,
on
isn't it?
this one. It's like really, really bold edge on that one.
Oh wow, man,
The
those are
black.
super cool.
And it's the English spelling, of course, because it's the 9p variant.
Right.
So the American one doesn't have a U in it, right?
Yep.
Well, no. Well, the American ones
They're too lazy to put the U in it.
they're
'Cause
always all color, so they
it's all
never.
about them.
They never had a color use necessary.
It wasn't
Americans are
necessarily
always
the
me.
same.
They
They were
don't worry
always
about you.
Whereas in the UK, the Marvel UK stuff was in black and white, so they needed
Right.
My
That's
dad
why
was
they
better.
pay attention to it. These are fantastic.
No, these are Doctor Strange.
Bingo.
What's that?
He said
They're
they're
not
not
fantastic.
fantastic. They're Doctor Strange.
See,
Yeah.
and that's a run where you want the 35 or the 30-cent price variant because they were 25 cents here. Then you're showing the 10p price, and then they were.
There's a 30 cents. Is that what you said?
No, I think it's gone up by then.
It's gone up by then.
No,
When
no,
you-
no,
the-
no.
The
no,
month
that's
after
number
the
two.
Starburst.
That's number two. That may be a price variant.
If
Whoa.
you see the Starburst, it's the month after the Starburst is the last month. The month before and the month after the Starburst were the 30-cent price variants. The
I've never had
35
these
cent
early
ones are
Doctor
harder to
Stranges, I don't think.
distinguish.
That-
There's the Starburst. right
That's
there.
really clear. That's cleared up no end, Kyle. That has.
Love that cover.
Oh, we're
Does there
into
have to be
epic.
an R in the month as well, or we just?
Now that's fantastic.
What issue is that?
78.
Yeah, that's a
Why
really nice
don't I
issue.
ever
How
remember?
much? What price is it? What price have they put on that?
£20.
It's about right.
But
Hey,
the thing is,
Wow.
Can you show it up? Can you hold it up again, Darren?
Mark, what they told me was they gone on eBay solds and just took the middle. So
Yeah.
the thing is, they completely ignore trade. So if they had a near mint comic, they've underpriced it, and if they had a very good, they've overpriced it.
Yeah.
But some of them they
Well,
got roughly
it's underpriced if it's high grade and
Is that
about
a
right
12p
price if
or
it's
12
mid-
cent?
12 cents.
Oh,
Oh, 12 cents.
Wow.
Okay. That's amazing.
Oh,
That's the one that I have the orange variant where they left the color out and it's all like bleached looking and it's very rare. I got it about a year ago.
That one's got some gummy on it where the number is.
you've got some proper comics here. What's going on, Darren?
You wouldn't
a cool
believe what
cover,
I've
that
got
one.
in
I like
the
that
house,
one.
Mark.
Oh
It's
my
amazing.
God. Oh my God. Oh, look at that. The
There
thing-
you go, and a shilling and a pence version as well. That's really nice.
that concrete collar just cracked me up as a
Mm.
kid. It would take 5 seconds for him to break out of that.
Oh, that's nice as well.
Oh, that's not. But that looks different than that. Oh, that looks really different for some reason. I don't know why.
This is the one, the variant one. This isn't the variant, but this is the one you're talking about with the different colors.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, what's happened to Agatha? There was going to be a TV series with Agatha Harkness in it.
There is. There is.
Still coming.
Yeah, House of Harkness
It's still
Instead of-
happening, isn't it?
instead of House of Darkness.
Did anyone watch Madam
Right,
Web?
I love this pricing thing on the top of these ones. That only happened for a few issues. Can you see where it says still 1 shilling?
Yeah.
Very rare. There's not many There's not many
Yeah.
comics with that on it.
Oh wow.
No. Did anyone see Madam Web yet?
No.
No, and I'm not going to bother.
I may not even see it when it comes to streaming. It sounds just so horrendous.
I'll sit through it, but I won't like it.
Yeah. What he said. So
We
we
still
just
haven't
got,
seen Eternals yet.
we got the first issue, her first appearance today, by the way.
I've got a first issue. It's gone down in value.
Yeah, since the movie came out. Well, hell yeah, it did.
That's the first Annihilus, isn't it?
No, not the first.
It's a very early. There is something key about that, which is to do with the. Is it the first time he's on the cover?
I don't think so. I think he was on a Kirby cover because Kirby created him.
Negative.
Darkov, the Death Demon.
Mm-hmm.
These will all sell.
Oh,
Gail-
no, these will sell. These sell with no discount.
Bye, buddy.
Yeah, you don't want to discount these, mate. They'll sell anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Fantastic for
Oh, Phil's watching now.
that. There you go. And Medusa with hair.
Yeah.
Things ripping the hair off.
Mm.
So they're getting ready for the movie. That's what they're doing. He's in makeup.
Yeah.
There you go. Doom cover. Got some
Yeah,
crackers
that's
here, mate. You've got some crackers.
I know.
So who played the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie?
Norrin Rad.
Yeah.
No, Doug Jones. But you're close.
It was the guy who played the mermaid in Hellboy.
Abe Sapien.
The mermaid. Can you believe that?
Doug Jones. He's a friend of mine.
Doug Jones.
Mhm.
Well, who played,
Doug Jones.
Who was the character who played the Flash? The guy, the male model who played the Flash in the Flash movie.
I'm going to get a different pile if Phil's looking.
I hope you don't mind.
I don't know. Doug had come on the show if he wasn't so damn busy. I almost sent a video of him the other day. Blow me up real quick. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Even though apparently they did that more there.
Is he the eye demon as well in Labyrinth?
Yeah.
Labyrinth?
Yeah,
Not
he's
Labyrinth.
Del
Pan's
Toro's
Labyrinth.
go-to guy.
Yeah.
I'll send you stuff on Doug.
Hmm.
So there's what the 30 cents in the Starburst look like.
Yeah.
It's a different box.
So it's pretty
But,
obvious.
like, This month it shows 25. The August it shows 25 in the square box. Same issue, 30 cent in the square box. You know, that's the difference between, there's only a handful of these printed. Most of these were printed and distributed in San Antonio. So that's Avengers 150. There's a Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel Presents 30 cent variant. And then the truly rare ones, the 35 cent price variants.
Are they the Canadian ones?
And this is these were limited distribution in America
Oh,
where
they
they tested out the 35 cent price.
Okay, yeah.
San Antonio. No,
There are less than 1,500 of these in existence of any of the 35 cent variants.
Wow, that's interesting stat.
So, and these are like, there's less than 4,000 of any individual issue of these, and there's less than 1,500 of any individuals of these.
And
Because they were
Some
only test
lunatics
marketed in
will pay
2
more
or 3
for it.
cities.
Those are nearly as rare as SpongeBob comics.
Loads
Yeah.
more grey.
And the regular run on these books was in the 100,000 range. So, you know, that's a limited number.
Oh, there you go. He's got the Sandman variant covers.
Oh.
Yeah. You can really see the difference there. So which one is the rare one? The purple one.
The purple one.
And what number is it?
I'll tell you what.
Number one.
I think I'm going to have to buy this myself. We have it at such a good price. I didn't realize he valued it at only $35, but it's very rare, and I think I'm going to pick it up probably. But isn't that awesome? You know, and I realized right away. I go, wait, that's purple. That's not blue like the other one, and you know.
10D Spider-Man 31. I got off mark.
Let's go back to Kyle.
Oh, no, I'm done. It was just there.
I did want to show this off.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought one from Phil about a year ago, and so ever since he's been upset that he had to go buy another one. So,
What year was that? What kind of decade?
there were two. There was one in the 50s, and this is the 60s version.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
not expensive. It's not expensive.
Well,
That looks fantastic in the 60s.
we have 90. This is about what they're going for now. This is
What you put
90
on
with the glasses. This one is $99, and so
Yeah, I bought one without glasses for about $30.
right,
Yeah.
but with the glasses, it makes it go up about twice.
Yeah.
Look, a first edition of Planet of the Apes with the dust cover.
Wow.
Just because I'm here.
I'm not sure if Collecting Chaos is talking about them Sandman or whether he's got a problem he needs to see his doctor about.
Wah, wah.
It's
Thanks.
called strangulation.
It's called strangulation. Yes, exactly, Dan.
Phil,
I'm
did
glad
Phil
that-
leave?
What's that?
Did Phil leave?
Phil left. Yeah.
Oh man, I just went and got a stack for Phil, but never mind. I go back to the
Oh
original stack.
man. Oh, poor Phil.
Never mind. I'll go back to the original stack.
Okay. What were
Part
you
two.
going to show, Phil? Were you going to show 2000s? 2000 ADs?
I've got that one.
I've got next time Phil needs to book in.
I got that one as well. Sold.
I I got it in a mystery pack. I got off eBay, 3 comics for like 13 quid or something, and I got that
was a good
one
deal.
plus a really early Black Hawk and a signed one. I thought it was quite a good deal. I was happy with it.
Wow. Look at that. Giant-sized Master Kung Fu.
Apparently, Chaos was talking about Sandman.
And what I liked about this collection
There's
was
people,
there
these
were,
people
like,
with blue and purple ones. I ain't even got one yet.
there were oh yeah, oh sorry, that reminds me. Mark, where's now Mark's gone. Okay, we'll come back to that one.
Giant-sized Man Thing 1, which the funniest thing about that is not only is it Giant-sized Man Thing, the villain is the Glob.
But does giant-sized Man Thing have size 15 shoes?
He does not have size 15 shoes like Kyle. No, he does not.
My wife said I can't show my giant-sized man thing.
Well, thank God.
Really glad to hear it.
We're really happy about that, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got that in the store too, Darren. That giant-sized Fantastic Four. We just got that in the store last week.
Yep, I need that.
I've got all the giant-sized Defenders.
Wow.
I need all of them. I need all the giant sizes except issue 2.
So
And
the
I
great
wouldn't
thing
even
about the
mind
collection was
having
it was
extra.
exclusively Marvel, except for 4 issues, which were Commandy, I think. And Marvel, I just so need to restock that I just couldn't say no.
Fury in the Iron Tower. It's a nice giant-sized Conan there.
Thank you.
Issue 1.
The giant-sized Conan are separate from the Conan annuals, aren't they?
Yeah.
No different thing, is
Yeah, the giant sizes were quarterlies put out between 74 and 75.
76. Early 76. At least on the date. I'm sure they came out in 75. And I don't know why I know so much about giant size.
I might have to tap out pretty soon, though. I can barely.
Yeah,
step
we are
back.
too.
Yeah, no worries. Go when you like, guys. Go when you like.
I just want to say
when you want.
thank you, Dan, for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having
Thank you, Dan, for coming on the show today.
Face turn it.
heard it a lot.
Thank you, Dan.
Darren, I'm going to reach out to you about Frantic and Marvel Madhouse.
About something in Marvel Madhouse.
Frantic and Marvel Madhouse.
Frantic.
Yeah, they're the Marvel satire and parody issues that were issued in the UK.
Hang on a second. Wait 1 minute.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Good. Mark heard that too. So
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, that's a good one.
Master of Quack Fu.
Nice.
I love that one.
Me too.
So there's always another week. There's no
What's
problem
Mark
if
doing?
we're ending the show.
When bites
Is
the
Mark
beak.
having a costume change?
Yeah.
Is Mark about to come back in cosplay?
He
or
went to
something?
go get his goo gone.
He's not cosplaying.
He's going to come
He's
back.
not cosplaying as Harley Quinn, is he?
I would hope not.
Yeah, hopefully not. No, that's Darren that would do that.
Complete with the FF stickers on him or VF stickers on him.
Darren would come back with FF stickers on it.
Yeah, exactly. FF.
No
Read a
evidence
copy.
for this man.
Poor condition.
Dr. Bong.
Do you remember Dr. Bong from Cover Slingers?
Yes.
I
the
remember
island of
Dr. Bong, all right. Yeah.
Dr.
Different Dr.
Dr. Bong
Bong.
was my
Hey,
favorite.
Bill, was Dr. Bong a one-hitter wonder?
He was a one-hitter wonder.
Yeah.
He was a one-hit. That's funny. He was a one-hitter.
He's in quite a few more.
Yeah, one strike.
I'm making a one-hitter joke.
Yeah.
Pop.
We
Just
did it.
just before you switch to Mark, I want to show
what's,
you. Remember, there was a
Mark
conversation. Oh, too late. Over to Mark.
I literally picked these up today.
So how much?
Never seen them before. Marvel Madhouse.
How much of the run did you get?
I just got 3, 5.
Yeah.
Pretty good shape.
Dude,
We'll
those are
talk.
awesome.
We'll talk because I definitely want to pick.
I'll
one.
put you guys in contact.
Reprinting, not brand
I
deck.
picked up 9. Now, I'm presuming these are reprints of not brand deck.
Yeah.
They are.
But
Are they UK only?
different format.
Yes, they're UK. Yeah.
Are those black and white interiors?
Yeah, inside they're black and white.
Yeah, I definitely need to get that running frantic.
And I've also got issue 1 of Frantic with the Kermit the Frog and the Hulk.
Beautiful.
Issue.
What?
And also I've got a couple
We
of
know
other.
it's not easy being green.
We'll talk. I'd like to build a stack for sure.
Okay. These are, they're for sale effectively. So, but these are pretty decent condition. I'll bag and board them. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you
excellent.
definitely have me set up for that.
Okay, great. It's nice to visit a comic shop and sell comics.
Right. You're selling your own comics at my store. By the way.
I'm buying comics here too.
He
so-
is. It's not. You're not drawing away from anything.
Just about to make a sale.
Have you ever come across
Gary,
these before,
Gary,
Darren?
I'm all ears. So
Darren, have you ever
we'll
seen
talk.
these
We'll
before?
talk.
No, I
No,
think these
no,
are quite
honestly,
rare.
I'm only kidding because I've never seen them.
I've never seen them either.
Oh
So
wow!
I think these are actually very rare. I don't think this was a very big print run from Marvel
They
UK.
seem affordable on eBay. It's just that it's hard to gather more than one copy from any seller.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay, listen, Dan, Mark, I'm sure Mark would be more than happy to, if you said you want a full run, he would source them for you if he needs to buy them one by one off UK eBay and then batch them up and sell them to you.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So you only pay one lot of postage and you get the full
That
run.
would be actually very interesting to me.
Mark will sort you out. I'm sure you will, won't you, Mark?
Yeah, I can handle that.
Okay, well, we will definitely, once I get back to Austin and 2 hours away and get to my hotel,
Do you need the full set, or have you
I
already got?
prefer the full set. I have none of them.
Okay.
But I do want to say, live long and prosper, guys. We're going to sign off now. But
Yeah, I'm signing off too.
Thanks so much for everything,
Mark,
guys.
See you later,
Mark,
mate.
stop. Don't move.
oh wait, okay.
I got to hear this.
Yeah, Phil, you can go. This
No,
was
now
something I
it's
wanted
not
to-
good. Long enough
Just
to
remark.
go off.
It's just this is just a finishing comment. A week ago or 2 weeks ago, when we started looking at the Bolton collection,
Yeah.
we were talking about whether he had collected them at the newsagent, got a full run of everything, and had sold some of them at a convention.
Yeah.
And I said, we're looking for clues, and there's something on the back of a board that is a clue. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That's the back of the board.
So that's Silver. He's bought that from Silveracre. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think a lot of them he did buy himself from the newsagent, but he went backwards in time to get some from Silveracre.
Yeah, to get the
So
fillers.
I've not lots of them, but probably, I don't know, 1 in 20 is a Silveracre.
Yeah, that's always a good sign. I see that as well in some collections. I'll go, okay. they bought
Bye,
some-
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, have a great week. See y'all
Yeah.
soon.
See
Bye
ya.
Adios.
My
Goodbye, whoever's going.
my Silveracre boards go straight in the bin. So anyway, what do you want? More comics, or are you disappearing?
I'm off, guys. I'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Got
I'm
a lot
off.
of
I'm
comments
gonna
tonight.
hang around.
Went down quite well.
Kyle's off, I think.
I'm off. I can't stay upright anymore.
So it's a good time for the. Yes, Mark, it did go well. I thought, yeah. Oh, he's gone. Yeah, I thought the DeMatteis thing went very well.
Yep. In 5 or 6 more weeks, I'll get with him again, and he'll come back on. So then I got to turn the camera away
I
from
even
my
think
wife.
he appreciated to some level my joke.
So, yeah, and you picked my favorite book in the world to show off there. Much.
I had to run downstairs and get it, Kyle. I had to check to see if I had it.
Hey, I meant to tell you earlier, I want you to do something. That book's there handy, right?
It's over there somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. I want you to add that to my stack, but only after you autograph it. I don't care where. I don't care how.
I autograph it.
You autograph the cover inside the book. You write a note to me. You write a big old fuck you in there. I collect personal copies of books like that. Like my buddy Hillary Barta marked up my Defenders 115 with cartoony characters and stuff. And like Johnny sent me some stuff, and I wanted him to autograph my Canadian price copy of that I got. and I want a copy because it's a Pence, or it's not. It's after the Pence was an option, but I want a copy from you, and I want it autographed from you.
And it's got to be that book, right? The 92.
92, Defenders 92. And
Oh,
again,
man,
it can be on the cover, it can be upside down, it could be in the front pages, it could be wherever. I want a personalized copy from you with your goofy stamp on it. Whatever you want to put on it. You can put stamps on it, you can put stickers on it.
Man,
it's
like,
going to be a
like
treasure's
factory.
treasure. You know, because it's like a $5 book on good days. But to me, if you did something like that, that'd make it so priceless to me. You know, mention it's the one you showed on the show.
The one on the show was a near mint on the shop. If I got a
and I want you to
copy,
do whatever you feel like doing to it.
If I've got a lower grade one, I'd prefer to do it to a lower grade one.
Nope.
Oh man.
I want that one. I want the one you showed, and I want it personalized from you.
Oh dear.
Because again, it's like a $5 for a book, you know, and I give you trade value or whatever.
It is.
But I want that book for historical, because it's only going to be that precious to me. That book is going to be that precious to me for the fact it was on the show. It's from you. It's personalized. That's going nowhere but in my stacks with a big shit-eating grin on my face.
I shall make it so.
So, you know, be artistic. But yeah, I must bow out.
Okay.
See you guys later. Thanks everyone in chat. Bye, family. See you guys later.
See you later. What do you say, Darren?
It's your signal for the dance. Have a amazing day.
Oh, right, yeah.
Amazing day.
Oh, right. So you want to go now as well then?
Yeah, I reckon so, because when I
You
show
want to
the
bugger off
stuff,
as well?
I like the bunch of the boys to have a good look.
Yeah, true.
Hey, Gray, am I not on cover slingers this week? I'm okay if I'm not. I'm okay if I'm not.
I've been too lazy. Yeah, I've been a bit lazy trying to work it out, to be honest. I've not even... yeah, Roger's not on. So what have I got? I've got Bill, me. There's someone called Big O's asked to be on.
Biggie again. From last week.
No, not Biggie. No, Big O. A different big person.
Right.
Not Big E, but Big O. Apparently,
Yeah.
He's been on before. He's asked if he could come on again. So I need two more. So I don't know if you and Ray both want to come on again. No.
What about Rayman?
Right, wouldn't it? Was what you wanted last week? Yeah, you and Ray would make 5, wouldn't it?
No. I mean,
if you want to come back on.
I'm more than happy to come back on, but if I could take a week off, that'd be cool, because I've got to get your guys' pile sorted out. I've got to do it. And I absolutely love both shows. I love being on this show and I love being on Cover Slingers. But every time I come on, this is like the